Global evolution. I transplanted the heart of the Supreme God. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 576 Yellow Rice. Gangson, what do you think? The goddess of Washin seemed to be interested in arguing. Bai Pu shook his head. The value of the rough leather armor is not comparable to that of the high-level dark gold equipment. Although it has good attributes and high armor, it does not have decent additional skills. Unique additional skills are the value of dark gold equipment. The goddess of Washin nodded. Your analysis is correct. It seems that you have seen a lot of dark gold equipment. Bai Pu smiled. At this time, people have been bidding for the rough leather armor, and even the goddess of Washin raised a sign. However, when the price was pushed up to 500,000 spiritual energy points, she did not follow up. Generally speaking, dark gold equipment starts at millions of spiritual energy points. It is not uncommon for particularly excellent high-level dark gold equipment to be sold at a sky-high price of tens of millions of spiritual energy points. But the psychological price of the goddess of Washin for the rough leather armor is only 500,000, so she gave up the fight early. The leaders of other major forces at the peak auction were also clear-headed. As the price continued to rise, they gave up one after another. In the end, the transaction price of the rough leather armor was 720,000 spiritual energy points, and it was purchased by the Iron Cavalry Guild. Yes, the atmosphere on the scene has been heated up a lot. It seems that Feng's auction house has really found a backer in the Silver Heart world, and even the equipment of the Evolver without rank can be obtained. Bai Pu thought secretly in his heart. The next few auction items are all fine products from the Awakener world. Almost all the families present have made bids, and there is no dull situation. Bai Pu was also amazed. There are many things that are so powerful and useful that he has never seen them before. Among them is a prop, holy birch bark, which is of C-grade gold. The effect is to pray for a light magic. Choose one of three, holy protection magic, which provides a shield for friendly forces, including yourself, in a certain area, holy healing magic, which provides large-scale treatment, holy punishment magic, which causes holy damage to enemies in a designated area. This golden prop has a wide range of applications. For those large forces with high-level teams, it is a key to influence the outcome of team battles, which has caused quite fierce competition. In the end, it was the Yuan Liu of the Iron Wall Guild who spent 900,000 spiritual energy points and won the sacred birch bark. Bai Pu, as a lone ranger, was not interested in this. The auction gradually became dull when it reached the middle of the auction. There were few bidders for several consecutive items, and they were sold at a price slightly higher than the reserve price. Next is the halftime break. Guests can go to the rest area next door to enjoy refreshments. I can tell you in advance that the first treasure in the second half is definitely a top-notch item that all awakened people will be tempted by. Mialuo smiled. This statement whetted everyone's appetite. Immediately, someone encouraged, no need to rest, we are in a hurry. Yes, for awakened people, sitting a little longer is nothing, continue the auction. Seeing this, Mialuo could only ask King Mi for instructions. After soliciting the opinions of the guests present, it was decided to cancel the original halftime break and continue the auction. Sure enough, the first treasure taken out in the second half made everyone breathe rapidly. Yellow bud rice, strange items in the spirit world. Each time you eat yellow sprout rice, you will randomly gain a basic attribute, and you can get up to 20 basic attributes in this way. Mialuo smiled and said, I believe everyone knows that many treasures in this peak auction were obtained from the Silver Heart world. The circulation between the upper world and the earth is quite difficult due to the restrictions of the spirit world. It is not easy to get a small bag of yellow sprout rice this time. How many grains are there in total? Someone asked. No more, no less, 20 grains. Mialuo said loudly, a bag of yellow sprout rice, the base price is 500,000 spiritual energy points, and each bid must not be less than 10,000 spiritual energy points. Please bid. Mialuo's voice fell, but the scene fell into silence. After all, this kind of thing is rare, and everyone is thinking about its value and determining their own psychological bottom line. 20 points of randomly assigned attributes are mostly allocated to one's weakest attribute. For most awakeners, it is definitely not as good as enhancing one's own strong attributes. But for top awakeners, dark gold equipment often has full attribute requirements. So these 20 points of randomly assigned attributes are still very popular. Compared with a piece of dark gold equipment, yellow bud rice increases 20 points of attributes, and the bonus value is almost the same. In terms of advantages, yellow bud rice increases basic attributes and does not occupy equipment slots. In terms of disadvantages, yellow bud rice does not have the unique skill bonus of dark gold equipment. To sum up, in most people's minds, 20 grains of yellow bud rice should be worth about the same as a piece of dark gold equipment. However, in the minds of strong people who are in urgent need of basic attributes and wear advanced equipment, the value may be more than doubled. When Bai Pu saw the yellow bud rice, he calculated the value of this thing and weighed it silently in his heart. He himself is a strong person who is in urgent need of basic attributes. Therefore, Bai Pu still needs these 20 grains of yellow bud rice. 800,000. Someone raised a sign. It was a petite female awakener wearing a retro bamboo hat with a black veil hanging down, which could block the prying of mental power. 820,000. 830,000. People followed up one after another. 900,000. A price suddenly rose. Bai Pu looked sideways and saw that it was Overlord who raised the sign. His father Yuan Liu smiled and said nothing. 910,000. The first woman who raised the sign in the black veil was still following. Whenever someone bid, she would only increase the bid by 10,000, but she would raise the sign at the first time. It gave people the feeling that she was persistent and determined to win. The goddess of Wushan took a look and whispered, "That is the first master of the Huling Guild, soul stealing." Is she soul stealing? A candidate for the throne. Bai Pu looked at her carefully. Li Ling had already collected the list of the first batch of title battle qualifiers and was collecting the battle data of these masters. So Bai Pu knew the names of the title battle qualifiers, but he didn't know their specific fighting styles and advantages. But it won't be long before the information about the strength of these masters will be on Bai Pu's desk. In the age of psychic power, information is developed, and almost everyone has a psychic camera. Almost no awakener can keep their secrets, unless they never take action on Earth, don't participate in competitions, and don't go to the wilderness area. 1 million psychic points. A familiar voice sounded from the Iron Cavalry Guild. The person holding the sign was the border town wanderer. 1.01 million. The soul-catching did not hesitate at all. Haha, we're here to join in the fun. 1.5 million. The middle-aged man sitting in the C position of Haoshin's group was calm and raised his sign to make an offer. In the venue, the big guys naturally did not change their expressions, but many of the younger generations who followed them could not help but gasp. The psychic points were raised by 500,000 in an instant. This offer is enough to buy a good piece of dark gold equipment. Chapter 577, Peerless Divine Weapon. Soul Seer stared at it, and rarely did he bid directly. There was a special psychic device in the venue, which was isolated from spiritual power spying and communication. Soul Seer said lightly, "King Qiong, do you want this thing to be of great use?" King Mi frowned in the audience. As the organizer, she certainly didn't want the bidders to talk. But the rules can only restrain the weak, and she couldn't afford to offend any of the big guys present. As long as it wasn't a blatant bid, King Mi didn't intend to care. Soul Seer from the Huling Guild alone was already a headache as a candidate for the throne battle. King Qiong from Fu was even more powerful, and was the legitimate owner of the title of Heavenly Man today. King Qiong didn't say anything, but Haoshin, who was sitting next to him, bowed and apologized. "Senior Soul Seer, my second uncle bid for me. I especially need this thing to meet the demand for dark gold equipment. I'm sorry. You just stepped into level 7, right? You're forcing things." Soul Seer said coldly, closed his eyes and stopped talking. Soul Snatcher is a top awakener, with the support of the Huling Guild behind her, so it's not that she can't even come up with 1.5 million. Bai Pu said. It's not calculated that way. A large guild needs to maintain its operation, and the resources allocated to each member are limited. It's impossible to give everything to a certain member, otherwise the guild will fall apart. As for Soul Snatcher, if the equipment and props on her are put up for auction, there will be no problem selling them for a few million, but this 1.5 million is working capital, and it's normal that Soul Snatcher can't come up with the existing psychic points. The goddess of Wushan explained. So, Fu is the same, and will not give Haoshin unlimited resource support. Bai Pu nodded and raised the sign. This was Bai Pu's first time raising a sign. 1.6 million. The scene fell silent again. The side of Haoshin's second uncle King Qiang was cast over. The attention of the genuine heavenly man title holder would surely be a great pressure for ordinary awakeners, but who is Bai Pu? He has fought against the Dragon King. Facing King Qiang's scrutinizing gaze, Bai Pu sat calmly and just nodded with a smile. So you are the rising star of the Jiangnan region, General Manager Gangson. Since you want it, I will not fight for this yellow sprout rice. King Qiang put down the sign and said calmly. Thank you. Judging from his face, King Qiang looked calm, but no one knew what he was thinking in his heart. Haoshin's key cultivation skills were much worse, his face was obviously gloomy, he took several deep breaths, and whispered in King Qiang's ear, Second uncle, if you give in this time, others will think that we in Xianfu are afraid of a kid who is less than 20 years old. Gangson raised the price by 100,000 as soon as he opened his mouth, and it is obvious that he still has spare energy. King Qiang shook his head. My conservative estimate is that Gangson's energy point account has at least 2 to 3 million. Don't you know how popular his character cards were in the past few days? It's true that our Xianfu family is large and powerful, but we also have many awakened people to support. It's not wise to compete with him, a lone wolf, in bidding. Seeing that Haoshin was still a little angry, King Qiang sighed, take a bigger picture. Our goal is the last golden relic equipment, and we can't spend too much financial resources in advance. Mr. Gangson bid 1.6 million, is there a higher price? 1.6 million once, 1.6 million twice. During this process, Bai Pu was still a little worried. What if there is some second-generation rich kid who doesn't like him and wants to jump out to disgust him? Looking around the field, although some people are eager to try, such as the border town prodigal son, but they didn't jump out after all. 1.6 million energy points is a very large number. For any big force, it is not a small amount of money, and they will not use it to compete with the strong second generations. 1.6 million 3 times, deal. Mialuo's gavel fell. Bai Pu breathed a sigh of relief. Although 1.6 million energy points in exchange for 20 attributes was a bit extravagant, Bai Pu was a lone ranger and naturally didn't care about these. Bai Pu's psychological bottom price for Wang Yami was 2 million energy points. If it was too high, he would have to give up. The backup plan was to let Li Ling purchase equipment that increased agility and replace some of his own equipment that increased strength and endurance. This would also meet the needs of Doomsday, because Bai Pu's current basic strength and basic endurance were far beyond the needs of Doomsday equipment. Now that Wang Yami was auctioned, there was no need for Li Ling to specifically purchase agility equipment. This auction really lived up to the word peak, and the treasures that appeared were almost all fine products. Among them was a treasure that made Bai Pu excited, the red phoenix feather, which was said to be produced in the fog area of the Silver Heart world and could help the awakened to comprehend the ultimate mystery, Nirvana mystery. The red phoenix feather was eventually bought by the goddess of Wushan at a price of 1.4 million spiritual energy points. Unfortunately, this should be just a feather that fell off naturally, and the essence of the spirit beast contained in it is almost gone. If it is a real feather containing the real blood of the red phoenix, it will be priceless, enough to replace the golden relic and become the finale of the auction. Is there a big difference between this feather and the real feather? Blood Spider asked. Of course. The more mysteries you comprehend, the better. The most important thing is to choose 2 or 3 mysteries with strong correlations and practice them to the level of mastery. The goddess of Wushan explained, the top awakeners have practiced the mysteries to the extreme. What they pursue is to sublimate the mysteries they have comprehended, turn the virtual into the real, and comprehend the true meaning. The priority and effect of the true meaning are far beyond the comparison of the secret. The red phoenix true feather has a small probability of helping the practitioners of the fire secret to comprehend the true meaning of nirvana. How valuable do you think it is? Bai Pu remembered that when he met Aizong in the professional plane, the other party did mention that the only things that could make him improve in the awakened world at present were combat skills and true meaning, and these 2 things could only be taught by the powerful indigenous people of the advanced spiritual world. Recalling the might of the Headmaster Bosch of the Gajetsun Warrior Academy, maybe Headmaster Bosch is a master who has comprehended the true meaning? Or even if he has not comprehended the true meaning, he is on this path. Headmaster Bosch's experience can help Daizong comprehend the true meaning, and play the role of a stone from another mountain can polish a jade. Everyone, what I am showing you now is the last treasure of this auction. In order to show my sincerity, I will not use pictures to demonstrate, but directly show you the real treasure. Mialuo seemed confident. Four awakened people, carrying a golden long-handled weapon, slowly walked up to the platform. The weapon was more than 10 feet long and as thick as the bottom of a bowl. The tip of the weapon was shining with cold light, and its two wings spread out like the wings of a phoenix. Sorry to have kept you waiting. This golden relic weapon is the peerless magic weapon of Yuan Chengdu, the Xianbei general of the Sui and Tang dynasties, the Phoenix Wind-Gilded Halberd. Chapter 578 Sky-High Price. The Sui and Tang dynasty world is the most difficult plane world in ancient China, comparable to the Three Kingdoms world. During the chaos at the end of the Sui dynasty, General Xianbei Yuan Chengdu fought all over the world with the Phoenix Wind-Gilded Halberd, and was invincible. He was awarded the Gold Medal, the world's #1 brave and invincible general, by Emperor Yangguang of the Sui dynasty. If it weren't for the birth of Li Yuanba, the king of Zhao in the Western Palace, Yuan Chengdu would have been ranked as the #1 hero in the Sui and Tang dynasty world without any problem. This Phoenix Wind-Gilded Halberd is recorded in the novel as weighing 400 kilograms, but the equipment of the awakened cannot be measured by ordinary weight. Let's look at its equipment requirements. The basic attributes must reach 75 points. This is far more than 400 kilograms. It is also the most demanding equipment that Mialuo has ever seen. It is worthy of being a famous golden relic and the world's #1 magic weapon for awakened people. Mialuo's voice was quite contagious. Her words were a bit too absolute. For example, there were other famous golden relics that might not be inferior to the Phoenix Wind-Gilded Halberd. But as an auctioneer, it was not wrong for her to exaggerate a little. The attributes of the Phoenix Wind-Gilded Halberd were laid out, but no one said anything. Everyone was attracted by the powerful attributes of this famous golden relic. Phoenix Wind-Gilded Halberd, encapsulated, quality, famous relic, gold, equipment requirements, basic all attributes 75 points, obtaining the approval of the weapon spirit can have the equipment requirements, equipment slot, two-handed, attributes, additional attack power 6100, additional skill 1, horizontal bravery, passive, the wearer's strength plus 15, endurance plus 15. This passive state becomes permanent after being approved by the weapon spirit, regardless of whether the weapon is in the possession of the wearer. However, if the wearer is holding another weapon, the passive state will automatically disappear. Additional skill 2, overbearing, when fighting against 3 or more enemies, the wearer's strength plus 15, and the recovery speed of professional energy is increased by 100%. Additional skill 3, hidden durability. 150/150 description, Xianbei General Yuan Chengdu was conceited and invincible, but he eventually died in a carefully woven conspiracy. Someone immediately said, "Why do you hide the third skill when you show it to others?" Mialuo's expression remained unchanged, and she smiled and said, "Please forgive me, Mialuo can only say that the third skill is an active skill, which is the unique skill of the powerful Yuan Chengdu. It is just to protect the interests of the final auction winner. This powerful active skill is not suitable for the time being." Mialuo's explanation made many strong people who were interested in Phoenix Wind-Gilded Halberd nod secretly. These strong people naturally did not want to let their trump cards be known to everyone in such a nearly free way. Moreover, the information about the third skill mentioned by Mialuo was relatively credible. Generally speaking, famous relics will add the most proud skills of the original owner as equipment-attached skills. The first two skills of the Phoenix Wind-Gilded Halberd are both passive, and the possibility that the third skill is an active skill is quite high. Bai Pu narrowed his eyes and silently said, "I want to use the intelligence authority of Major Gold to learn the third skill of Phoenix Wind-Gilded Halberd. The current rank of the owner of this weapon is Bronze Brigadier General. Your rank is Major Gold. You have rank suppression on him. The query request is approved. Please pay 28,000 psychic points. Pay." A message appeared on Bai Pu's retina. Death 3 styles, active, perform a powerful combination attack, Phoenix nod, straight to the dragon, shake the universe. This skill has no cooldown time, but it will consume 1,000 points of professional energy, based on the energy intensity of the enhanced hero level. A human-shaped phantom appeared in Bai Pu's eyes, demonstrating this 3-move combination attack. Phoenix Knot is to shake out dozens of gunflower phantoms, with the help of the interference of the two wings of the phoenix, so that the enemy can't tell where the front is landing, greatly increasing the probability of hitting, making it difficult to be parried and blocked, and the additional damage is increased by 30%. The direct attack on the dragon is to thrust the weapon forward at an extremely fast speed, greatly extending the attack distance. If the Phoenix Knot hits, the additional damage increase of the direct attack on the dragon is increased to 100%. The last Shattering the Universe is launched after the direct attack on the dragon, pouring destructive power into the enemy's body, causing explosive damage that ignores armor. If the first two moves hit, the additional damage increase of Shattering the Universe will be increased to 300%. It's really a killer move that can turn the tables. Bai Pu commented silently. This golden relic weapon has an attack power of 6100 points before it is strengthened. In comparison, the attack power of the +8 advanced gold weapon, Blood Mist Butcher's Chainsaw Sword, is only 4590, which is not as high as the basic attack power of the Phoenix Wing Gilded Halberd. In terms of attributes, it has 30 attributes in normal state. Facing a battlefield with multiple enemies, it also has 15 points of strength and energy recovery, which is more useful than Bai Pu's victim shoulder armor. If you are in a disadvantageous situation in a single fight, there are still the last 3 fatal moves. This is the golden relic weapon coveted by the top masters. It is indeed half a level stronger than the dark gold equipment. If Bai Pu did not have the king level purple weapon, Doomsday Spear, he would probably be tempted by this Phoenix Wing Gilded Halberd. Of course, it is useless to be tempted. With Bai Pu's financial resources of 5 million spiritual energy points, it is basically impossible for him to laugh at the end, regardless of whether he wins the yellow sprout rice. Mialuo announced the reserve price of 3 million spiritual energy points, and each increase in price must not be less than 100,000. This price seems outrageous, but the price increase of the big guys on all sides is even more outrageous. It is not a slow increase of 100,000 or 100,000, but an increase of hundreds of thousands or millions. Soon the price was called up to 6 million spiritual energy points. At this point, everyone's bidding gradually became sparse, and the increase rate also slowed down. 6,300,000. 6,400,000. Okay, you are rich on Rapids Island. One of the parties sat down angrily. Obviously the funds prepared had reached the limit. 7 million. Before Fenghuo and others from Jilliu Island could catch their breath, another voice rang out, and the price was pushed up to a new level. Qingqiong, the contemporary celestial being, spoke up. Everyone in Xianfu enjoyed the awe-inspiring looks from the people around them, and felt proud of it. Senior Qingqiong bid 7 million, is there anyone who can offer a higher price? Is there anyone who can offer a higher price? On the stage, Maya Oluo's voice was also trembling. She had hosted many top auctions, but bidding over 7 million like this was a rare experience. She raised the gavel and began to count the seconds. 7 million at a time. 7,200,000. Suddenly, Feng Huo raised a sign at the seat of Jilliu Island. Qingqiong narrowed his eyes. 7,300,000. Since the deterrent strategy failed, they could only use the tactic of adding fuel to the fire, and the competition was about which side was more prepared. Feng Huo raised his sign again to raise the price. The bidding between the two organizations, Jilliu Island and Xianfu, lasted for 7 or 8 rounds, and the price was pushed up to 8,400,000. Chapter 579. Don't forget the promise. The one who bid the price was Qingqiong. His face was not very good, because this was far beyond his budget. He originally planned to use 6 million spiritual energy points to win. As the helmsman of Xianfu, although Qingqiong can call on all the resources of Xianfu, he must also consider the reactions of other powerful people in Xianfu. There is no reason to misappropriate resources that should have been allocated to other powerful people, which is bound to cause turmoil in Xianfu. However, as the holder of the title of Heavenly Man, Qingqiong is strong enough to calm the situation. At the end of this year, the title battle will open again, and the title of Heavenly Man will definitely be fought for by powerful people from all sides. Having enjoyed the benefits of the title, Qingqiong did not want to lose it even more. And this powerful golden relic weapon, Phoenix Wing Gilded Halberd, is an important puzzle for Qingqiong to defend the title of Heavenly Man. But things did not go as planned. Another mysterious man wearing a black hood and wrapped in a black robe said, "I will offer 9 million spiritual energy points." Another big crocodile joined the competition, and raised the price by 500,000 points as soon as he opened his mouth. No one doubted the economic strength of this mysterious man. Every big boss present had his or her energy point account balance verified by Fengzi Auction House when they entered the auction. Fengzi Auction House knew exactly how many energy points each person had in their account. Since this mysterious black-hatted man called out a price of 9 million, and Fengzi Auction House did not object, it proved that he really had the financial resources. 9 million. Mr. N37 bid 9 million energy points, which is really an astonishing number, but Maya Oluo believes that this unique golden relic weapon is worth any amount of energy points. Is there a higher price? If not, the Phoenix Wing Gilded Halberd will belong to Mr. N37. 9 million once. 9 million twice. The atmosphere in the venue seemed to freeze, and everyone held their breath, just watching Maya Oluo's red lips open and close. 10 million. I'll bid 10 million. King Keong said in a deep voice. Lord King Keong, the account screenshot you submitted does not seem to have so many energy points. Maya Oluo paused for a few seconds, confirmed it with a personal information terminal, and spoke. I didn't have it then, but I do now. King Keong showed his psychic point account in public. The balance of the awakened King Keong's psychic point account. 10,709,750, indeed, 10.7 million. Okay, your bid is valid. Maya Oluo's legs were a little weak. There were only a few auctions that exceeded 10 million in the entire history of the psychic era. Bai Pu suddenly received a message from Li Ling. Just now, a batch of psychic materials sold at a low price appeared on the market. I didn't have time to ask you for permission, so I directly bought 20 portions of spiritual liquid and spent 110,000 spiritual points. Okay. Bai Pu replied 110,020 portions of spiritual liquid, it must be a profit. At this time, other bigwigs also received similar information. Originally, everyone was still wondering about the origin of this batch of psychic materials that were suddenly sold, but when they saw the sudden increase in spiritual points in King Keong's account, they all understood. The mysterious man with a black hood spoke in a hoarse voice, haha, King Keong. You sold all the materials in Xianfu's inventory at a low price. Aren't you worried that the people in Xianfu will lose their morale? Won't the 9 Stars Lord have any objections? You don't need to worry about it. King Keong said coldly. In fact, his thoughts were very clear. As long as I defend the title of Heavenly Man, plus the power of Phoenix Wing Gilded Halberd, even if other people in the organization have opinions about resource allocation, they will restrain themselves. If I lose the title of Heavenly Man and don't get the Phoenix Wing Gilded Halberd, my strength will drop sharply. Even if the resource allocation is fair, there will be people who have other ideas. He was also secretly guessing the identity of the mysterious man in the black hat, but the other party was very hidden and deliberately changed his voice, making it impossible to recognize him. It must be a strong man who covets the title. I wonder if it is one of my candidates. Humph, in this case, I must get this golden relic. Otherwise, if it falls into his hands and he uses it when challenging me, I will really regret it. Fortunately, the mysterious man in the black hat did not continue to raise the price. After Maya Oluo confirmed again and again, she finally dropped the hammer, 10 million for the third time. Deal. Congratulations, Lord King Keong, for successfully obtaining the golden relic weapon, Phoenix Wing Gilded Halberd. I believe that this magical weapon will definitely give you more power, whether it is exploring the spirit world or the wilderness area of the earth, you can show your divine power. Maya Oluo's tone was a little stuttering, but no one would pursue her minor flaws at this time. The general manager of Fengzi Auction House, King Mi, was smiling. The auction price of over 10 million was enough to shock everyone. This peak auction can be said to be a great success. Beep, a message came, and King Mi took a look. An unknown number, with only a few short words on it, sincere congratulations, don't forget the previous appointment. King Mi's body froze slightly, and then she quickly replied with a okay. After doing all this, King Mi walked to the high platform, looked around the venue with a charming look, and said in a delicate voice, Dear guests, this Fengzi Peak auction is all thanks to your presence. Our bank has booked the Taipei Tower in Yunzhong, please be sure to come. The various bigwigs present did not take King Mi seriously at first, but Fengzi Auction House proved that it has the same strength as the Miracle Auction House through this peak auction. Especially the channels related to the Silver Heart world are the focus of many bigwigs. King Mi's invitation was accepted by many people, and they all moved to Taipei Tower. Bai Pu paid spiritual energy points and got 20 yellow sprout rice. After verifying the authenticity, he did not stay for too long. He rejected King Mi's personal invitation and went to a high-level training field he rented in Yunzhong. Bai Pu did not go, and neither did Blood Spider and Wuxian Goddess. The reason is very simple. Bai Pu's only interest in Feng's auction house is the information about the Silver Heart world. But Bai Pu felt that King Mi would definitely not give out the information about the Silver Heart world in a few words, and he had no intention of discussing long-term cooperation with Feng's auction house in exchange for information. The other big guys are basically the same as Daizong. They have all reached the top of the awakening world. Bai Pu has just stepped into the level of high-level awakeners. Therefore, Bai Pu's interest in entering the Silver Heart world after ascending is not very strong. He still has a lot of room for growth. At least there is a qualitative leap at present, that is, to make agility meet the standard and meet the equipment requirements of Doomsday as soon as possible. I also have some means of permanently enhancing attributes, such as flesh and blood strengthening fluid, and elixirs such as imitation dragon and tiger pills. After all, it starts with my secondary profession, Taoist alchemist. Next, until the college competition, I can concentrate on studying this aspect. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 580 Virus, Gantz. At the junction of Yunzhong, there is a high-level training ground. This training ground is nominally rented by Bai Pu, but in fact it is borrowed. After all, this is an official junction. Bai Pu holds a high position in the Jiangnan region and is already a big boss, so he naturally has all kinds of preferential treatment. Like this training ground, it is located on a separate island in the clouds, with sufficient spiritual energy particles and no one disturbing it. It is definitely one of the top 5 high-quality training grounds in Yunzhong. Even if an unofficial awakener spends money, he may not be able to rent such a good place. Just when Bai Pu was concentrating on studying Taoist alchemy, the goddess of Wuxian and the blood spider were idle and waiting here. On the one hand, the goddess of Wuxian and the blood spider knew the existence of the king-level purple warrior and wanted to see it. On the other hand, the goddess of Wuxian and the blood spider had not seen each other for a long time. The latter had been promoted to the ranks of high-level awakeners, and the goddess of Wuxian also wanted to try her niece's skills. The blood spider was promoted to a high-level awakener, and his strength improved by leaps and bounds, but the goddess of Wuxian was a top awakener after all, and the foundation accumulated over the years was incomparable to the blood spider. When the goddess of Wuxian took the initiative to limit her own attributes and levels, the blood spider had no advantage. The green tide key of the goddess of Wuxian was flexible and changeable. When the strength was equal, it forced the blood spider to be at a loss. However, the blood spider's final move to win and defeat, turning the blood fighting spirit into countless sticky filaments and shooting them out, was also extremely powerful. The goddess of Wuxian immediately retracted the attacking palm power and turned it into defensive green tide key cover. But her face changed slightly. The sticky fighting spirit filaments of the blood spider were actually assimilating her green tide key, and the professional energies of both sides entered a strange state of fusion. The goddess of Wuxian was experienced and immediately burst out her true key, forcibly repelling the blood spider and dissolving the fusion of the fighting spirits of the two. King Guyan, which professional plane did you match? I always feel that your professional energy is a bit strange. I have never seen this kind of trait that can assimilate the professional energy of others. The goddess of Wuxian said. I matched with the world of Virus, Gantz. Virus world? I haven't heard of it. Wuxian goddess said. This is normal. Blood Spider said, this is a modern world with a virus outbreak, a bit like the modern urban version of the Flesh Plague world. Unlike the Flesh Plague world, the prototype in the virus world is a guy who can control himself freely, and he is also the general boss of the infected camp. Did you learn the advanced fighting spirit cultivation method from the prototype of the virus world? Wuxian goddess asked. Blood Spider shook his head. I chose the Green Shield camp to fight against the infected. After completing a series of tasks, I got the latest virus improvement potion from the laboratory supervisor of the Green Shield camp, and also drew the blood of the prototype from the bloody treasure chest of an awakener. Blood Spider's story made Washing Goddess sigh. The latest virus improvement potion is fine, it's not a particularly rare thing, you can get it as long as you complete the monster killing tasks of the Green Shield camp. But the blood of the prototype is different. It is the blood of the boss of the infected camp. It is a reward obtained by an awakened team after many explorations and hardships. As a result, the team quarreled and Blood Spider picked up ahead. The blood of the prototype has the characteristic of must drop, so Blood Spider got it from the bloody treasure chest, which is not a matter of luck. Of course, even if the average awakener has the good luck of Blood Spider and gets the blood of the prototype, it is difficult to go further without the subsequent ability to solve puzzles in the spirit world. However, Blood Spider directly took out the sea-level gold item prepared for her by the goddess of Wushan, the skin of the wishing tree, and put the blood of the prototype and the virus improvement potion into it as raw materials, wishing to get a synthetic compound suitable for her career promotion. In the end, Blood Spider was successfully promoted, and her blood fighting spirit also had some characteristics of the virus prototype. Each fighting spirit particle was like a virus with strong activity and invasion ability, which could assimilate the energy of others and slowly transform it into her own. In this way, the enemy who fights with a Blood Spider for a long time will consume twice as much energy, while the Blood Spider can plunder the enemy's energy and use it for itself, reducing the consumption a lot. With the help of the unique ability Inspiration Ball given by the professional plane, the Blood Spider summarized a new fighting spirit he had comprehended into cultivation method, named Hemolytic Fighting Spirit. Your Hemolytic Fighting Spirit is almost invincible at the same level. Opponents of the same level cannot win quickly, and they will be stolen by you. With fighting to support fighting, few people can outlast you. The goddess of Wushan said with relief. The Blood Spider curled his lips, and, don't comfort me. I have competed with Gangson, and he is the kind who can beat me quickly, and he only used one hand to beat me. Gangson, he is not your opponent at the same level. The goddess of Wushan was very calm. After all, even the Dragon King couldn't take him down. Although there is an off-site interference factor of the official special forces, his personal strength must be close to the candidate level. Bai Pu just came out of the quiet room and heard the evaluation of the goddess of Wushan. He smiled slightly and did not refute. In fact, Bai Pu has a clear understanding of his own strength. Before this journey to the world of original sin, his strength was about the same as that of a candidate. But after the baptism of the world of original sin, Bai Pu's strength is definitely more than the candidate level. Gangson, have you come out of seclusion? How is it? Can your alchemy make potions that increase attributes? Blood Spider was very curious. Bai Pu shook his head and said, I have learned the A-level formula of blood and flesh strengthening fluid. Maybe it's because I have reached level 8 and my energy manipulation is more proficient. I can make an A-level formula with an intermediate secondary profession, but the effect is a bit worse. This is the finished product I made. As he said, Bai Pu put a small bottle in exhibition mode. Blood and flesh strengthening fluid, A-level potion. After taking it, it can randomly increase basic attributes by 2-4 points. The effect of this potion does not overlap with other potions of the same type. I have taken similar potions. In the flesh-plague world, an alchemist named Nolan made me a bottle of life enhancement fluid, which increased the attribute by 7 points. Bai Pu sighed. This is a good thing. The goddess of Wushan automatically filtered Bai Pu's sigh, her eyes fixed on the small bottle. Things that can increase basic attributes are definitely hot items. It's no problem to sell a bottle like this for hundreds of thousands of spiritual energy points. It's a pity that the materials are hard to find. Several of the main materials are only produced in the Starfall Islands in the Flesh Plague world. That is an advanced world that cannot be entered. Only awakened people with relevant tasks are allowed to enter. Bai Pu shook his head and said, I have been to the Starfall Islands. It is very small. It should be a high-level plane that has not yet evolved completely, so awakened people cannot enter, and they can't even match. Blood Spider said, How did you get the materials you have now? The goddess of Wushan asked the key question. Chapter 581 Wuai's Will and the Demon Race. One of my subordinates' collection. This is a rare material that Qin found in the Swedish royal palace. It was probably the spoils that Emperor Gustav accidentally obtained when he passed through the Falling Star Islands. Qin handed these materials to Bai Pu as a small task reward so that he could take them to the Flesh Plague world to practice medicine making and improve the level of Taoist alchemists. The proficiency given by this thing is really exaggerated. Bai Pu only made one bottle, and his proficiency jumped a little bit. However, the materials are limited after all. In order to learn the formula, Bai Pu failed twice. With the remaining materials, there is no hope of forming a large-scale industrial chain and making a fortune. What a pity. If it can be mass-produced, you will become the richest man on earth. The goddess of Washan said. It's not completely hopeless. Bai Pu touched his chin. I have a territory in the flesh plague world. The Starfall Islands are within my territory. In theory, I can collect materials from the Starfall Islands through taxes, provided that the people are willing to enter the Starfall Islands. The natives of the intermediate spirit world will automatically increase their strength to the advanced level when they enter the advanced area. Therefore, the natives may be more suitable than the awakened ones to explore and work for Bai Pu. Bai Pu originally chose in-kind tax. The natives who explored the Starfall Islands can use raw materials to pay taxes and enter the tax warehouse of the Lord's mansion. In this way, Bai Pu can bring the rare alchemical materials from the Starfall Islands back to Earth. As a lord, you have the authority to formulate territory tax laws. As long as you raise the weight of the high-level alchemical materials converted into taxes, you should be able to attract the natives to enter. The goddess of Washan is obviously quite experienced in this, because she owns territories in more than one spirit world. Okay, I can try. It was very simple for Bai Pu to reenact the tax law. He didn't even need to go to the territory in person. As a hands-off boss, Bai Pu handed over all the political affairs of the territory to the practical officer Mr. Olson, and the military defense of the territory was handed over to the leader of the Aberrants, Slit-Throat Goodwin. Bai Pu had left a message for the practical officer Olson before. In the future, the adjustment orders of the territory's affairs will be conveyed through Queen Christina. As for Queen Christina, Bai Pu can issue orders remotely through the Source Master's Advent Conference. If it can be mass-produced, this potion may even have the hope of being listed in the peak auction. The goddess of Washan said, although the basic attributes added are a little less, there is no limit on the physical attributes, which means that the increased attributes may flow to the spirit. This is of added value for those masters who have shortcomings in basic spirit and need to increase attributes to meet the needs of wearing equipment. It should not be enough. Bai Pu shook his head slightly. Compared with similar items in the peak auction, 20 grains of yellow sprout rice can increase 20 points of attributes, which is a qualitative change for the strong. Moreover, for things like blood and flesh strengthening fluid, many strong people have encountered opportunities similar to Bai Pu when they were exploring similar plane worlds. They increased their attributes by drinking strengthening alchemical potions. Drinking this one again would be a repetition and ineffective. Bai Pu thought about it and said, I originally wanted to rely on alchemical potions to strengthen and meet the equipment requirements, but now I have to change my plan. Next, I will use some high-level medicinal materials from other worlds to replace them and try to study the improved version of the blood and flesh strengthening fluid. Maybe it will not conflict with the life strengthening fluid I have already drunk. Bai Pu can say this, still based on the unique secondary profession of Taoism alchemist. Then your king-level purple weapon, the equipment requirements will not be met. Blood Spider was very regretful. With my current attributes, there is no problem using the incomplete version of the shotgun, Doomsday Edge. Bai Pu took out the head of the disassembled Doomsday Spear, which is a shotgun. Although there are no additional skills, the attack power itself is as high as 120-250 points, and there are 70 points of attack strength. I remember that the attack power of the golden relic, Phoenix Wing Gilded Halberd, was only 60 to 100 points. Blood Spider blinked and sighed. Just a broken purple weapon has an attack power more than twice that of a golden relic weapon. That's normal. The goddess of Washan was also attracted by noble purple light of the purple weapon. After staring for several seconds, she slowly spoke. King-level purple weapons are not something that should appear in the Awakener world. The Awakeners who can get king-level purple weapons in the Awakener world and equip them are basically aliens. Blood Spider thought the goddess of Washan was joking, and, it's rare to see you so humorous. I'm talking about real aliens. In words you can understand, they should be called alien travelers. The goddess of Washan said, you are already high-level awakeners and have participated in the Spirit World War. This information does not need to be kept confidential. The so-called alien travelers are the awakeners under the command of other Spirit World whales. They often come from other star fields, and even their races are completely different from ours. And, I know everything you said. I even fought with 2 travelers from other worlds. Blood Spider said, and, which spiritual wills or alien races do you know? I only know 3. The first is the spiritual will we belong to, named Gaia. The second is the spiritual will of the demon race, named Wu-Aya. The third is the spiritual will of the god race, named Noah. The goddess of Washan said, we humans on Earth belong to a branch of the human race, so there is no need to say more. The demon race is a race that emphasizes bloodline talent. After they transform, they often have all kinds of special talents and abilities derived from the demon bloodline, and they are extremely powerful. The awakeners of the Starshin seem to have fish features on their faces. They should belong to the demon race, right? Bai Pu asked. Yes, they belong to the Sea Clan among the monsters. Shin Star is an ocean planet that is more than 99% covered by seawater. The Shin Sea Clan often have strong water and ice talents. What about the God Clan? Blood Spider asked curiously. It's called the God Clan, so they should be stronger than the monsters. In terms of individual strength, the awakened gods are of course stronger. But the number of gods is very small. In terms of overall combat power, they should be about the same as the monsters and humans. The goddess of Washan didn't know much. It is said that everyone in the God Clan is an awakener, and the people are not easy to increase or decrease, and always maintain a constant number. As far as I know, there should be 4 wills in the spiritual world. In addition to the 3 mentioned by the goddess senior, there is another one called Kai Will. I don't know what group it is under its command. Chapter 582 Equipment that destroys the balance. Bai Pu heard some of the information and felt that it was time to reveal some information that Washan goddess didn't know. Kai Will? Where did you get the information? How can you know the secrets of the spirit world that I don't know? Washan goddess' eyes suddenly lit up, scanning Bai Pu like an X-ray, full of curiosity and interest. And, wait a minute. We're off topic. Blood Spider quickly reminded, I just saw that the Doomsday Spear has 70 attack strength points. What does this mean? Attack strength is a feature that only appears in second-level weapons. It is used to increase the attack strength of the professional energy. The goddess of Washan gave an example. When an enhanced hero profession and an ordinary hero profession use the same amount of fighting spirit, there is no doubt that the former has the upper hand and can break or even defeat the opponent's fighting spirit wave. This is the embodiment of attack strength. 70 points of attack strength has exceeded the strength gap between enhanced heroes and lords. In other words, Steelheart's fighting spirit stab with this pistol can penetrate the fighting spirit stimulated by the lord with the same energy. The incomplete version is so powerful. What will it be like if it is a complete version? Blood Spider was obsessed with the complete skills of the Doomsday Spear. That's easy. Bai Pu took out the spear shaft of Doomsday and spliced it together. A sharp aura suddenly erupted from his body. All the 12 attributes added by pure blood were allocated to agility. At the same time, the gene fragments of an agile enhanced warrior, Isra, were fused. Strength plus 6, agility plus 12. The 20 grains of yellow sprout rice eaten during the retreat gave Bai Pu 20 randomly assigned attributes. And these attributes, according to the unspoken rules of the spirit world, will flow to the weak attributes first. Bai Pu's approach was very extreme. He took off all the equipment that increased agility, such as the sting of the manticore, the bloodwing cloak, etc., to maximize the relative gap between his agility and other attributes, and then began to take yellow sprout rice. Sure enough, 16 of the 20 random attributes were allocated to agility. Then 1 point of strength, 1 point of endurance, and 2 points of spirit. After wearing the agility equipment again, Bai Pu's agility value was already 97 points. Counting the 2 talent bonuses of pure blood and gene fragments, Bai Pu's agility attribute in the burst state has reached 97 plus 12 equals 121 points, meeting the agility requirements of the full version of the Doomsday Spear. Because Wang Yami's attribute addition was very successful, Bai Pu's other backup method, the Dark Gold Tower Shield, Vigilance of the Spider Queen, was not used. Originally, the Tower Shield devoured the corpse of a strong man, which could provide Bai Pu with some attribute bonuses. If it devoured the corpse of an agile strong man, it would at least increase the agility by 10 or 8 points. With the additional skill hard wrist of Immortal King's Iron Wrist Guard, Bai Pu can hold the Tower Shield in one hand and the Doomsday Spear in the other hand without any problem, and will not be penalized by attack power. Of course, using a spear with one hand can only perform simple stabbing, unlike holding a spear with 2 hands, which can perform various exquisite spear-related moves. If Bai Pu relies on the bonus of the tower shield, he can only get rid of the limitation of the shield during the demon power burst and fight with both hands holding the spear. He also had to keep a corpse of an agile warrior in the storage space at all times as food for the tower shield to devour and strengthen, which was still very troublesome. Now it's just right. He can use the shotgun Doomsday Edge normally, and use the full version of the long gun Doomsday with full force. A flash of purple light, Bai Pu felt that he had established a certain spiritual connection with this brutal and gorgeous long gun. There was a spirituality that seemed to be entrenched in the long gun, wrapped in layers of black mist. Could this be a weapon spirit? Bai Pu was a little curious, but no matter how his spirit extended, he could not pass through the black mist and communicate with a weapon spirit. "Can I touch your gun?" Blood Spider whispered. "I want to touch it too." The goddess of Wushan followed. She was no longer reserved. Even she had never touched the full version of the king-level purple weapon. "Okay, let me take a look at the properties of the long gun first," Bai Pu said. Doomsday, encapsulated, equipment quality, 2-star king level, purple, equipment location, two-handed, equipment requirements, basic strength 120, basic agility 120, basic stamina 100, basic spirit 100, attributes, additional attack power 180-350, attack strength plus 120, additional skill 1, dual wielding, you can split the spear into 2 long-handled weapons, Doomsday Edge, pistol, and savior, wand, and gain new bonuses and skills. Currently available bonuses, strength plus 30, stamina plus 30, additional skill 2, Doomsday Banner, passive, gain the effect of man-horse unity when riding. Actively activate the Doomsday Banner, you will enter a ruthless killing state, charge at the target you selected, and the ruthless killing state will last until the target dies or leaves the default battlefield range. Additional skill 3, it can only be opened after the weapon spirit recognizes its master, durability. 1200/1200 description, at the wrong time, in the wrong place, a wrong weapon appeared. Bai Pu checked the specific effects of human-horse integration and ruthless killing. Human-horse integration, your mount shares some of your skills. You share some of your mount's attributes. Obviously, the Doomsday Spear is suitable for cavalry warfare, so getting a powerful mount is naturally on the agenda. Bai Pu silently ruled out the Dimetalon. Ruthless killing, you become unstoppable, greatly improving your immunity to negative states, including imbalanced states. Enemies on your sprint path will witness the illusion of Doomsday. Just describing it with words and numbers is not enough to get familiar with this equipment. Bai Pu plans to adapt to the effects of this king-level purple weapon in the genetic mind, especially the ruthless killing. The Blood Spider and the Goddess of Wushan touched Bai Pu's spear, and their saliva was about to flow down. This kind of super high-quality equipment that can be said to destroy the balance is the dream of every awakener, but the suffocatingly high basic attribute requirements are enough to discourage most people. Gangson, how do you meet such high equipment requirements? Wushan Goddess always found it incredible. I have an identity-proof item called Gaia Seal, which can internalize the additional attributes obtained by equipment, props and skills into basic attributes. Bai Pu showed the Gaia Seal to Wushan Goddess. Gaia Seal. Wushan Goddess exclaimed, I have never seen this thing. I'm afraid it's the only one on Earth. Just this spirit internalization skill is already superb enough. With it, you don't have to worry about not meeting the equipment requirements. The conditions for the dark gold equipment spirit to recognize the master are too harsh. Blood Spider swallowed his saliva. Chapter 583 No Limit. As a dog owner, Zuzu's family also prepared dark gold equipment for her after she was promoted to high level. You still think it's too harsh for the weapon spirit to recognize the master? If the Exile Soulstone doesn't have a weapon spirit, can you meet the basic requirement of 60 for all attributes? Be content. The Goddess of Wushan rolled her eyes at Zuzu. It's not that all dark gold equipment has a weapon spirit. Many high-level dark gold equipment don't have a weapon spirit, which seems to save the step of the weapon spirit recognizing the master, but this is not a good thing. Because the weapon spirit recognizing the master can reduce the equipment attribute requirements by half. This is a shortcut. Moreover, only when the weapon spirit recognizes the master can the dark gold equipment exert 100% of its power. He waved the Doomsday Spear for a while, and a fake chop made a hissing sound of breaking through the air, which looked quite powerful. While the bonus state was still there, Bai Pu split the Doomsday Spear into two parts. He held the spearhead in his right hand, named Doomsday Edge, and held the back half of the spear shaft in his left hand, named Savior. The half of the gun barrel at the end, with a raised counterweight on the gun handle, looks like a solid hammer. Doomsday Blade, bound, equipment quality. 2-star King level, purple, accessory, equipment requirements, basic strength 80, basic agility 80, basic endurance 60, basic spirit 60. If you also hold the handguard Savior, the equipment requirements will be increased. Equipment position, one-handed, additional attack power. 120-250, attack strength plus 70, additional skill 1, extreme speed, holder's agility plus 30. Additional skill 2, final breath, passive. Each time you use Doomsday Blade to successfully hit the enemy, you will gain a layer of final breath, and the layers of Wall of Despair are increased in a cycle, which lasts until you leave the default combat state. Durability. 800/800, description, this sharp blade reunites with its brother, heralding the coming of the end. At this time, Doomsday Blade is no longer displayed as incomplete, but as an accessory of the King-level purple weapon. Although the equipment requirements are the same as before, if you dual-wield Doomsday Blade and Savior, the equipment requirements will rise to the requirements of the full version of the Doomsday Spear. Originally, there were no additional skills on it, but now there are 2 more. The extreme speed skill increases agility, needless to say, and final breath is obviously the key point, which must be used in conjunction with the cane. Bai Pu then checked the skills of the cane. Savior, bound, equipment quality, 2-star King level, purple, accessories, equipment requirements, basic strength 80, basic agility 80, basic endurance 60, basic spirit 60. If you also hold the shotgun Doomsday Blade, the equipment requirements will be increased. Equipment position, one-handed, additional attack power. 100-220, attack strength plus 50, additional skill 1, extreme speed, holder's agility plus 30. Additional skill 2, Wall of Despair, passive. Each time you use the Savior to successfully parry an enemy's attack, you gain a layer of Wall of Despair, and the layers of final breath are increased in a cycle, which lasts until you leave the default combat state. Durability. 800/800 description, this cane reunites with the brothers, heralding the coming of the end. Combining the 2 weapons, Bai Pu also saw the specific effects of Final Breath and Wall of Despair. Final Breath, each layer increases the attack speed by 3 points. Wall of Despair, each layer increases the fixed damage reduction by 3 points. The description text is very simple, but it does not mention 2 crucial words, upper limit. In other words, there is no upper limit to the number of layers of Final Breath and Wall of Despair in theory. The only limitation is cycle increase. Bai Pu checked it out, and the concept of cycle improvement is, Bai Pu first stabs an enemy with the Edge of Doom, gains a layer of Final Breath, and increases the attack speed by 3 points, then he needs to use the Savior to parry a hostile attack, gain a layer of Wall of Despair, increase 3 fixed damage reduction, complete a cycle, and then he can continue to stack the Final Breath. If you keep using the Edge of Doom pistol, even if you stab the enemy thousands of times, there will only be 1 layer of Final Breath. These 2 weapons seem to be more suitable for foot combat. Whether it is a single fight or a group battle, once the layers are stacked up in a cycle, it means that the more you fight, the stronger it will be, and what you will eventually bring to the enemy is Doomsday-like despair, which is quite in line with the name Doomsday. The goddess of Wushan moved her envious eyes away. Gangson, you and Kingayan are teaming up, and it seems that there is still a spot? Have you found a candidate for a new teammate? The goddess of Wushan asked. No. Even with Blood Spider, I rarely act together. She can only summon me for help when she needs help. Bai Pu said. Well, I use the teammate summoning function in the Heart Demon world, and Steel Heart helped me a lot. Blood Spider nodded. The goddess of Wushan hesitated for a moment and said, Steel Heart, with your current strength, you can already find a top awakener to form a team. Now is the time when the war in the spirit world is fierce, and you will soon encounter more powerful alien travelers. 3 people will explore the spirit world separately, and ask for help when necessary. It will definitely be more opportunities than 1 person fighting alone, and the ability to resist risks will be stronger. Bai Pu put away the Doomsday Spear and said, If I can guarantee the final decision-making power in the team and the priority choice of spoils, I don't mind having another teammate. However, top awakeners are all arrogant and will probably think that my conditions are too harsh. So, I want to wait until the end of this year, after the title battle is over, to recruit new teammates. Bai Pu felt that he was just a rising star now. Only by proving his strength in the peak title battle could he attract top awakener teammates and agree to such harsh conditions. The goddess of Washin said with a smile, the so-called top awakeners are usually stagnant in the awakener stage for many years, and the loot box explosion rate has been very low. For example, I am preparing for the ascension plane, so it doesn't matter whether I want the loot or not. As for the final decision-making power, of course it belongs to you. I think no one will question the decision-making ability of a super genius, especially since you have grown to such a level in just 1 year. The intention of the goddess of Washin to recommend herself was already quite obvious. Bai Pu looked at the goddess of Washin. If you want to join, I will naturally welcome you. Clothes are not as good as new, and people are not as good as old. Instead of looking for a strange top awakener, it is better to invite the goddess of Washin. The goddess of Washin is also a candidate. The goddess of Washin also has the advantage of the connections of the heads of major forces. She is the acting head of the Wu family in the East China Sea, and the leader of the Xiao Gang. Whether it is intelligence gathering ability or the ability to mobilize people, she is much stronger than Bai Pu. The goddess of Washin breathed a sigh of relief. She didn't know why she was so worried that Bai Pu would refuse. Chapter 584, Leaving the Seclusion. The goddess of Washin had to deal with family and gang affairs, so she left first. Blood Spider continued to use Bai Pu's training ground, and every day when Bai Pu was free, he would spar with Bai Pu. Although he was beaten, Blood Spider never tired of it. Bai Pu first went to the matching interface of the spirit world, and through his military rank privileges, he exchanged the spirit world wonder, title Conch, used to comprehend the mystery of the tide. At the same time, in the meeting of the Source Master's Advent, he instructed Queen Christina to adjust the tax focus of the Scania territory, increase the weight of high-level alchemical materials, and guide the indigenous people of the territory to enter the Falling Star Islands to collect rare alchemical materials for Bai Pu. In the following time, Bai Pu did not go to the spirit world again, but stayed in the Yunzhong training ground to concentrate on honing his strength. First, according to the formula of blood and flesh strengthening fluid, combined with the knowledge of Taoist alchemy, research new formulas for strengthening and increasing attributes. In this process, Bai Pu's proficiency in his secondary profession Taoist alchemist is also improving. Second, use the title Conch to comprehend the mystery of the tide. This is a water mystery, and it is also the last piece of the puzzle of Bai Pu's mystery system. According to the database opened by the Secret Service Bureau to senior special agents, as well as the information revealed by the goddess of Washin and others, the next stage of the mystery is to comprehend the true meaning, which is the path that many top awakeners are exploring. If a single mystery is taken to the extreme, the relevant true meaning can be comprehended. However, if multiple related mysteries are taken to the extreme and finally combined with a comprehended true meaning, the power is often more powerful. Bai Pu's plan is to collect the 4 mysteries of the Earth system: collapse of the mountain mystery, wind system, gang wind mystery, fire system, red flame mystery, and water system, tidal mystery. These 4 mysteries belong to the elemental mystery, and the degree of correlation is definitely no problem. However, it is definitely not easy to comprehend the mystery of the tide. The cultivation of multiple mysteries is becoming more and more difficult. If the difficulty of comprehending the second secret is 2, then the difficulty of comprehending the third secret is 4, and the difficulty of the fourth secret is at least 8. Bai Pu used the existing 7 legendary points to light up the remaining options of the Evolution Heart talent tree in turn. In the first level talent tree, he spent 1 legendary point to light up memory expansion, which has the effect of increasing the evolution state stored in adaptive evolution by 4. In this way, Bai Pu has 8 adaptive evolution postures that can be stored. Memory expansion is in conjunction with the second level A item, Dual Evolution. Dual Evolution allows you to open 2 adaptive evolution states at the same time, and obtain the mimicry enhancement effect after opening. This further enhances Bai Pu's targeted damage reduction ability. For example, if you open keratin skin and fluid skeleton at the same time, you can reduce sharp damage and blunt damage at the same time. As for the effect of mimicry enhancement, Bai Pu plans to explore and study it in the simulated Battle of Jin Heart image. Bai Pu also led up the third item of the second-level talent tree, Enhanced Meditation. Enhanced Meditation, when you use the genetic mind image for combat training, the proficiency of combat skills and mysteries will be reflected in reality at the same time. The mental image space of enhanced meditation is better than the spiritual world created by the four bishops' servants in the world of original sin. In today's mental image space for combat practice, Bai Pu can use the holy thorn, imitation, to whip himself unlimitedly without worrying about the loss of life value and death. Because in the mental image space, only the combat expertise, combat skills and mysteries gained will be reflected in reality, and the damage suffered and the loss of vitality will not be reflected in reality. Bai Pu in the mental image space will automatically exit a mental image space after his life value is exhausted. He recuperated his spirit, meditated again and entered the mental image space, and he was a lively hero again. So far, Bai Pu has led up all the options in the first two layers of the evolution heart talent tree. Bai Pu felt as if he was drawing his sword and looking around. He had not gotten any clues to open the third level talent tree. He originally thought that the rune language of the world of original sin would help him open the third level, but until the end, he did not get any hints from Gaia's will. Perhaps, the options of the third level talent are already too powerful for the awakened world to bear. Qin, Huan Shen, Bonnie, including Christina, Ningfu Princess Zhao Chuanzhu, these source blood apostles or pure-blooded servants are still in various worlds, helping Bai Pu explore the spirit world and develop legendary points. But even if he gets the legendary points, there is no deeper talent tree to light up for the time being. Of course, for these subordinates, Bai Pu will still let them continue. In any case, it is right to accumulate more legendary points. Time passed day by day in Bai Pu's practice. Lingyan 807, Autumn. At the junction of Yunzhong, in the advanced practice field that Bai Pu rented for a long time. Gangzin has been in seclusion recently. This time it lasted for a long time. He was already in seclusion when I went to explore the spirit world, and he still didn't come out after I came back. In the reception room, several people sat opposite each other, and the one who was talking was Zuzu. Next to Zuzu sat the goddess of Wushan. She was still dressed in casual home clothes. Obviously, she often came to this training ground during this period. Opposite was Li Ling. She said helplessly, "What should I do? I have something important to inform him immediately." I sent a message on the terminal, but he didn't reply. It's really frustrating. Suddenly, a voice came from the inner hall. "Sister Ling, have you been promoted to level 7? This familiar voice, with a hint of warmth in its clarity, made the three people feel familiar. "Gangzin, you finally came out of seclusion." Li Ling stood up. Bai Pu was wearing a white bathrobe. It was obvious that he had just been soaked in spiritual liquid and looked energetic. After not seeing each other for a few months, Li Ling discovered that Bai Pu's figure and temperament had changed again. From the original tall and burly, he became slender and solid, with a sense of restrained spirit, like a domineering sword put into the sheath. Only when it was unsheathed did it show its violent destructive power. In short, Bai Pu's temperament became very smooth. Well, finally there is a breakthrough. Bai Pu was obviously in a good mood. He finally comprehended the mystery of the tide during his recent long-term retreat. This is the fourth mystery that Bai Pu has comprehended, and it is also a top-grade mystery. The difficulty of comprehending can be imagined. With Bai Pu's comprehension, combined with the holy thorn, imitation, and the day-to-day tempering of the mystery masters simulated by the genetic mind image, he also spent so much time accumulating. If it were an ordinary awakener, I'm afraid it would take several years before he could get started. The mystery of the tide belongs to the mystery of water, which changed some of Bai Pu's temperament. He has both the elegance of the wind and the warmth of water. When fighting, Bai Pu would show off his majesty like a mountain, and his attacks would be as aggressive as fire. Of course, the gains from these few months of meditation were not only a new secret. Chapter 585 Heavenly Challenge. During the past few months of meditation, Bai Pu would hone his skills in the mind space when he was full of energy. This is how he realized the secret of the tide. At the same time, in the meditation and fighting in the mind space, Bai Pu concentrated on practicing the three specialties of long-handled weapons, dual-wielding weapons, and writing. He made the greatest progress in long-handled weapons, and has already practiced to the advanced level 7, Riding was a basic skill before, and now it has also been practiced to the advanced level 7. Only with dual-wielding weapons, Bai Pu never got the hang of it. The Doomsday Blade pistol in his right hand, with a foundation of one-handed swordsmanship, quickly became good at it, but it was not so smooth to use the Savior's cane in his left hand at the same time. According to the information collected by Bai Pu, dual-wielding weapons is a very rare specialty. A warrior with this specialty can control 2 weapons at the same time, and the attack speed is faster than holding a single-handed weapon or a two-handed weapon. This specialty can only be taught by a strong person in the spiritual world with relevant specialties, so that the awakened can master it with a small probability. It is difficult to practice it by relying on the awakened to practice on their own. During the long period of meditation and fighting, Bai Pu was already quite familiar with the Spear of Doom. In addition to practicing, Bai Pu also read through medical books and pharmacopoeias, trying to improve the formula, and made remarkable progress in the past few months. First of all, in the process of making the blood and flesh strengthening fluid, although Bai Pu's success rate was very low, he still made considerable progress with a continuous supply of rare blood and flesh alchemy medicinal materials in the territory. Mainly, making the blood and flesh strengthening fluid as a high-level alchemy potion. Even if it fails, it can increase a little proficiency. If it succeeds, it will directly increase a small amount, which can be seen by the naked eye. Therefore, in the constant trial and error, Bai Pu's secondary profession successfully upgraded to level 5. After the upgrade, Bai Pu actually had an inspiration and directly improved the formula of the blood and flesh strengthening fluid. Combined with a method of refining pills such as Dragon Tiger Pill, he developed a new potion named Blood Spirit Milk. The value of this potion can be seen from the description given by the Will of the Spirit World. Blood Spirit Milk, a new potion that combines blood and flesh alchemy and ancient Chinese alchemy. After drinking, the basic attribute will be increased by 4-8 points randomly. This potion does not stack with other similar potions. Compared with the original flesh and blood strengthening liquid, which can only increase 2-4 attributes, the attributes of the Blood Spirit Milk have increased significantly, and it can be sold at least twice the original price. Unfortunately, the improved Blood Spirit Milk still belongs to the category of alchemical potion, and Bai Pu can no longer increase his attributes by drinking Blood Spirit Milk. The development of Blood Spirit Milk has 2 meanings for Bai Pu. First, he has another long-term source of income from spiritual energy points. However, there are restrictions on the alchemical materials produced by the territory and some additional alchemy materials. Bai Pu can make 1 or 2 bottles of Blood Spirit Milk on average every month. A bottle of Blood Spirit Milk, priced at 300,000 spiritual energy points, has people scrambling for it, and the price will be higher at the auction. Second, by developing a new formula for Blood Spirit Milk, Bai Pu's proficiency in the Taoist alchemist sub-profession has risen sharply, and now it is close to level 6. As long as he persists in refining unique medicines such as Blood Spirit Milk, rejuvenation cream and first aid ointment in his spare time, he will soon be able to reach the threshold of a high-level secondary profession. During this period, Bai Pu also strengthened his equipment, mainly the 2 newly added equipment, Paladins of the Sufferer, and Giant Grip. With the help of the enhancement card purchased by Li Ling, both of these equipment were enhanced to +7 by Bai Pu. It is worth mentioning that the Dark Gold equipment, Paladins of the Sufferer, was very face-saving and only failed once. Because of the existence of the enhancement card, the enhancement level did not drop. In the end, it took more than 300,000 spiritual energy points to reach +7. As for the Doomsday Spear, Bai Pu certainly wanted to enhance it, but when he threw it into the enhancement light ball, the feedback he got was, this equipment exceeds the enhancement limit of the Awakener world. Please try again in the Evolver world. Bai Pu did not ask for too much. Anyway, even if the Doomsday Spear was not strengthened, the attack power of 180-350 was enough to stand out from the crowd. Even if the Phoenix Wing Gilded Halberd was strengthened to +10, it was still not comparable. Bai Pu did not show off to the people around him about his breakthrough in this retreat. In the eyes of Li Ling, Blood Spider and others, Bai Pu's strength was like the abyss of the sea. They could not measure it at all. They only knew that Bai Pu was also a strong man among the top awakeners. Sister Ling, I just read the message you sent. Bai Pu changed the subject. Are you saying that there is news about the peak title battle? Li Ling nodded and said, yes. Because the peak title battle last year was postponed, there will be 3 peak title battles at the end of this year, namely Heavenly Man, Power King and God's Throne. I have already obtained the qualification to participate in the Power King title battle. Bai Pu said. You got it. Several people looked aside in surprise. To fight for the title of King of Power, you need a strength attribute of more than 200 points, and you can't use props. How did you achieve that? Blood Spider was shocked. This was a friend who took the college entrance examination together. Bai Pu smiled and shook his head. His original strength attribute was 154 points. When he held Doomsday, he gained 30 points of strength bonus, reaching 184 points. When Bai Pu was practicing riding, he tried the Dimetrodon. As a result, the man in horse integration prompt, Bai Pu temporarily gained 18 points of strength and 24 points of endurance from the Dimetrodon. Bai Pu's strength attribute suddenly broke through to 202 points. He immediately received a prompt from Gaizwell. You have obtained the qualification to participate in the peak title King of Power, Earth, and the co-organizer is the Chinese official. Do you agree? Bai Pu clicked agree at that time, and a mark of the King of Power appeared on his body. When the title battle of the King of Power begins, he can participate. There is nothing wrong with this. Man and horse integration is a skill state attached to equipment, not a strength attribute obtained with the help of props, so it naturally meets the standards of the title of King of Power. Okay, you have obtained the qualification to participate in the title of King of Power. As for the remaining two peak titles, there is no news about the God Throne battle yet, but there is news about the Heavenly Man battle, which will be held in early November. Li Ling said, Awakeners who are interested in participating in the Heavenly Man battle need to defeat a Heavenly Man candidate in an open duel. The qualification deadline is the end of October, which is this month. What is the definition of an open duel? Bai Pu asked. Challengers must first register with the organizer, that is, the Chinese official. After being reviewed and approved by the will of the spirit world, they will receive a special item, challenge letter. With a challenge letter, you can choose the corresponding Heavenly Man candidate to challenge. This process will be broadcast live globally by the Chinese official. This is the so-called open duel. Li Ling said. Chapter 586, Powerful Teammates. Bai Pu nodded and said, then please ask Sister Ling to help me sign up. Which title do you want to choose? Li Ling couldn't help but ask. I want to try for all three peak titles this year. Bai Pu said with a smile, if the registration for the Throne of God battle is open later, don't forget to register for me. Gang Xin, have you ever learned about the specific process of the peak title battle? The rules for each peak title are different. For example, the Sword Saint battle is limited to sword weapons, and summoned creatures or mounts and pets are not allowed. The Heavenly Man battle, the battlefield focuses on the air, which is very disadvantageous for those power-type awakeners who are good at ground force. Li Ling was really considering Bai Pu. After all, her interests were completely tied to Bai Pu's. So my suggestion is to determine a peak title and sprint with all your strength. Not to mention the difference in rules, just the imaginary opponents, you have to prepare for 3 title battles at the same time, which means preparing the information of dozens of peak powerhouses, and finding the best tactics to deal with them. It consumes too much of your energy. Bai Pu said, I understand what you said, but now is only the qualification registration stage. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Get more qualifications for peak battles so that you have room for selection in the end. Okay, then I'll go and register for you. Li Ling got up hurriedly. Only Bai Pu and 2 teammates were left in the room. Wuxian Goddess looked at Li Ling's back and smiled. How did you find this assistant? She is very good in all aspects, and the most rare thing is her loyalty. She handled so many of your spiritual energy points, but she didn't take a single cent. You are too comfortable as a hands-off shopkeeper. During this period, Wuxian Goddess's chivalrous gang sent out a mid-level branch to use the large number of anchor tickets produced by Bai Pu's territory to further develop the flesh plague, the distorted world. The potions made by Bai Pu, such as blood spirit milk, rejuvenating cream and first aid ointment, etc., also passed through Li Ling's hands and flowed to the national channels of the Donghe Wu family for sale or auction in order to maximize profits. At the same time, Wuxian Goddess was Bai Pu's new teammate. Whether Li Ling was corrupt or not, Wuxian Goddess was the one who knew best. Wuxian Goddess was not surprised that Bai Pu was preparing for multiple title battles at the same time. She had seen Bai Pu's king-level purple weapon. Once this weapon that destroyed the balance was released, It could completely make up for the gap in background between Bai Pu and the peak strongmen. Senior goddess, you are joking. Sister Ling is more than just an assistant to me. Li Ling's meaning to Bai Pu transcended the scope of friends and was more like a family member. You don't have to call me senior goddess. Now we are all teammates, and we should address each other as equals. If you think the code name is difficult to pronounce, just call me by my real name. You can call me Mingayu, and call her Kingayan. The goddess of Wushan, that is, Wu Mingayu, said with a smile, without any unnaturalness in her expression. And, you are of the same generation as him, how can I count? Blood Spider Wu Kingayan was confused. Wu Mingayu sighed and glanced at this ignorant niece. How can I count? We are each our own. Do you still want to be of the same generation as me and betray your teacher and ancestors? Okay, Sister Mingayu. Bai Pu glanced at Wu Mingayu's super curves and happened to meet the latter's slender eyes. Bai Pu looked away. I don't know if it was an illusion, but Bai Pu always felt that this senior goddess. No, it should be Sister Mingayu. The look in her eyes was a little familiar, which reminded Bai Pu of Qin. Wu Qingyan sensed the atmosphere between the two and felt uncomfortable. He stood up and pulled Bai Pu out. Bai Pu, since you have comprehended the secret of the tide, you should stop retreating. Let's go back to school and meet your teammates. Since the beginning of the new school year, you, the captain, have not shown up. Isn't that too much? And, let's go. Wu Mingayu suddenly came to her senses, looked at Bai Pu's tall back, shook her head, and let out a leisurely breath. Zilagong, the school team training site. In 1 week, the national elimination round of the college competition will begin. Our Zilagong University has already qualified from the first place in the Jiangnan region, and this is in the absence of the captain. Gangson, you can't retreat in the elimination round anymore, you must win. Teacher KK paced in a square step, full of confidence. It seems that Kingayan played well. Bai Pu looked at the blood spider. In the absence of Bai Pu, Wu Kingayan was able to defeat the first place of Jiangnan University and qualify. His strength has really improved a lot. My teammates performed very well, and it's not just my credit. Wu Kingayan, who was sitting in the corner, was suddenly called out. He was a little uncomfortable and only said one sentence. Yes, this year our school team has greatly increased in strength. Even on the bench, there is a level 5 hero. I couldn't imagine it last year. Teacher KK sighed. The one sitting on the bench was called Bo Jiu. Compared with last year, Bo Jiu's attitude has been restrained a lot. The collar of his clothes, which was originally open, was buttoned neatly, and even the straw stick in his mouth disappeared. Hearing Teacher KK mention him, Bo Jiu lowered his head a little embarrassedly. Bai Pu said whatever he wanted. Bo Jiu, you have been promoted to level 5. Shi has also been promoted to the 2nd level, right? Have you ever competed? He looked around the field, trying to find the girl with a cute bun face. Shi is practicing in seclusion. I sent her a message, but I guess she won't come. The one who spoke was the auxiliary team member Amaterasu. She was still dressed like a Japanese geisha, wearing a loose kimono, and her mind was still broad. Before the words fell, a bright and brisk figure rushed into the venue. Steel Heart, Captain. From the initial excitement to the gradual whisper, Shi almost shrank into the corner in the puzzled eyes of everyone. Are you really Shi? Bai Pu was shocked. With his height, you didn't go for some weird surgery, did you? Shi is now 1.9 meters tall, with slender thighs and strong calves, looking healthy and beautiful, and 20 to 30 centimeters taller than before. This 1.9 meter is real, without any shoes added. The shoes that Shi transformed into even look like flat bandages, the kind that doesn't increase height at all. After my second transfer, it's like this. I was very distressed at first, but now I enjoy it. After all, Shi was once the uphost of the dance area, unlike Blood Spider who is a social phobia. After her initial shyness, she soon became generous and spun around on the spot on her toes. She can even show her unusual height and figure without any scruples. Well, changing jobs can indeed change your body shape and temperament. Bai Pu has a deep understanding of this. The changes in the awakened person's strength, agility and endurance attributes have a very obvious impact on the body shape. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 587 Dance Taoist. Bai Pu was a tall and slender boy at first, but after the second transformation, he became a dual-attribute expert in strength and body, and his figure changed from an upright boy to a burly young man. After being tempered in the professional plane, Bai Pu gained spiritual expertise, and recently he also made up for his agility attribute. With all the attributes approaching balance, Bai Pu's figure began to become slender and strong, and his temperament also changed. Of course, this is because Bai Pu is bound to the Gaia seal, which has the passive effect of the internalization of the spirit particle. Only the basic attributes, not the additional attributes of the equipment, can affect the figure and temperament of the awakened. However, the change in Bai Pu's figure and temperament is not large. It is rare for someone like Shi to grow 20 to 30 centimeters taller all of a sudden. After Shi accepted the fact that she was growing taller quickly, she did not give up on herself, but actively took in nutrition and strengthened exercise. She is not a thin bamboo pole, but a tall and round body, and quickly changed from the original cute style to the royal sister style. Teacher KK said with a smile. Shi's second job entered the world of street fighting, and changed her job to Dance Taoist. This Wu means dancing. She is good at unarmed combat and wrestling skills. Her fighting posture is as pleasing to the eye as dancing, and the key is that she is powerful. Now, except for you and Zuzu, she should be the best player in the team. She is growing really fast. The best player? Can she beat Bo Jiu, a level 5 hero? Bai Pu recalled that when Shi was put into the main lineup and Bo Jiu was a substitute, the latter was still very unconvinced. Bai Pu's conclusion at the time was wait until Shi's second job and Bo Jiu is level 5, and then the two sides will fight again. It seems that this game has already been fought, and Bo Jiu was defeated by Shi. Gang Xin, you will definitely not guess what kind of profession the Dance Taoist is. Teacher KK said. Bai Pu smiled and said, since the teacher said so, it must not be an ordinary hero profession. Could it be an enhanced hero template? You guessed it. To be honest, I was also very surprised when I heard it for the first time. I have never heard of anyone else except you who got the enhanced hero template in the second job transfer. Teacher KK said with emotion, I didn't expect that there would be another one this year, and it's in our Zai University of Science and Technology. It's really destiny. Bai Pu knew the difficulty of the job transfer with the enhanced hero template, and couldn't help but look at Shi carefully. Can you share your second job transfer process? Shi hesitated and said, sorry, due to some special restrictions, I can't tell you the details. I can only say that the job transfer task I received at that time was only S level. It was the first time that Bo Jiu heard of it. He felt jealous and whispered, my second job transfer was also an S-level job transfer task, why am I only a hero profession? Bai Pu once again thought of the legend of the Proteus. Now that he had a little preliminary understanding of this mysterious and powerful tribe, he asked, have you ever received a call from the will of other spiritual worlds? The other teammates were a little confused by this sentence. Only Zuzu, who was a high-level awakener and knew the deep secrets, remained calm. Shi said in embarrassment, Captain Gang Xin, I really don't want to lie to you. This answer was enough. Bai Pu nodded slightly and didn't ask any more questions. Originally, Bai Pu wanted to test Shi's level, but seeing that she was worried and had a secret, even if he tried to test her, Shi would only respond perfunctorily, so Bai Pu was too lazy to do it. It depends on the subsequent games whether Shi can reveal her true strength. So far, the 5 main players of the Zilio Institute of Technology team have all gathered. Captain Gang Xin, level 8 enhanced hero Blood River Tyrant. Vice Captain Zuzu, level 7 hero, +1 basic priority, Dragon Hunter. Team member Shi, the code name in the spirit world uses his real name, level 5 enhanced hero Dance Taoist, good at unarmed combat and wrestling skills. Team member Amaterasu, level 6 hero Yinliu Geisha, auxiliary positioning, with long-range spell attack capabilities. Team member Mashin Jushi, a level 6 enhanced elite Maoshin Kuishi, is a deputy tank with a powerful professional transformation skill zombie transformation. Originally, Teacher KK wanted to train together, but Bai Pu raised his hand and said, I have other games to play, so I definitely don't have time to participate in the training. You just need to practice individual solo battles. The competition system of the college competition is the same as in previous years, with 5 single duels and 1 team battle. If one side can win 4 single duels, it can directly win and cancel the team battle. On the contrary, as long as Zilligang can win 2 single duels, it will definitely enter the team battle. With Zuzu and Shi Yi, Bai Pu feels that it is okay for him not to participate. Teacher KK did not directly ask Bai Pu what other games he had. Although Bai Pu was still a college student at this time, his identity outside the school was already a standing counselor of the region. When Teacher KK talked to Bai Pu, she inevitably had many concerns in her heart and did not dare to ask too much. This is Teacher KK's future network of contacts, and she certainly did not want to leave a bad impression on Bai Pu. This year's national competition for the college championship was held at the Xi'an Polytechnic University. This was of course because Xi'an Polytechnic University won the championship last year, and many famous universities wanted to come and see the style of the defending champion. It was better for Bai Pu, so he didn't have to move. He would only attend when there was a competition, attracting countless attention. Many people were speculating about what realm Bai Pu was in now. Some people even used detection props to try to see, but the priority was not enough. Therefore, everyone hoped that a team could force Xi'an Polytechnic University into a desperate situation and let Bai Pu show his true strength. More than 90% of the audience felt that there was no suspense in Xi'an Polytechnic University's defense this time. The only suspense was how much Bai Pu could show. Of course, there were still a few viewers who thought that this competition was still suspenseful, because the captain of Zhejiang University, Skywalker Wan Zhen, had also passed the trial of the professional plane and was promoted to level 7, with unrivaled strength. The other 4 people from Zhejiang University were also level 6 hero professions. Taken together, they were better than Xi'an Polytechnic University. In addition, new talents emerged from famous schools such as Kaiyan and Zillion, who cultivated unique mysteries and wanted to fight with a big boss Bai Pu. However, the first elimination match ruthlessly shattered these people's extravagant hopes. As a forward, Mashin Jushi, facing the enemy's agile melee profession Dark Exile who came out to test, directly activated the zombie transformation, and his health, strength judgment, and physical damage reduction ability were greatly improved. Taking advantage of the opponent's despise, he forced him into a corner. Then there was a fierce attack of injury for injury. The Dark Exile had a flexible skill but could not use it. The dagger was stuck in the bone gap of Mashin Jushi, but the latter seemed unaware and roared and scratched and bit. In the end, the corpse poison effect took away the last health of the Dark Exile, and Mashin Jushi won the first battle. Chapter 588 Am I crazy or is this world crazy? The second Amaterasu, although an auxiliary, relied on the strange black fire to add all kinds of headache-inducing negative states to the opponent's shooter. The opponent's shooter's long-range physical burst output was easily resolved by Amaterasu with a passive dance posture of her professional skills. In the end, Amaterasu won, and the shooter fell down in the choking cough caused by the burning of black fire. The third game was Shidai's appearance, facing the enemy spellcaster. Bai Pu watched Shidai's game carefully. The opponent's spellcaster is really strong. The teams that can reach the knockout stage are basically configured with level 6 enhanced elites or hero professions. However, the spellcaster did not force out Shidai's true strength. Facing a series of fancy magic attacks, Shidai raised his toes, stepped on a brisk dance step, and approached the opponent while spinning and jumping. Deer Classic Dance is a body movement skill. While accelerating the movement, it can actually forcibly get rid of the caster's mental lock. She dodged the whistling magic missile by a hair's breadth, showing her amazing waist flexibility. With Bai Pu's eyesight, he could even see the undulating waves caused by the magic missiles passing over Shiyi's peaks. After getting close, Shiyi slightly bent her waist and raised her hand to slap the enemy caster's waist. Yes, as a 1.9-meter tall man, Shiyi really had to bend down to attack the opponent's waist. As the caster stepped back, he released Arcane Shock, trying to push Shiyi away and slow him down. But Shiyi's body surface flashed with green fighting spirit, and her graceful figure suddenly moved half a body closer like a slide. Her outstretched hand was like a passionate invitation to dance, holding the enemy caster's hand, circling and spinning, and the opponent spun around for several circles, and was thrown to the ground by Shiyi's force, and the condensed magic energy dissipated. The next step was completely Shi Yi's rhythm. She made a series of attacks that seemed like dancing, and ended with a throw. The damage she dealt was extremely high, and all the throw damage was not reduced by armor. In less than 10 seconds, she sent the opponent out of the game. Dancing Taoist, it's really interesting. Bai Pu squinted his eyes and watched. He found that Shi Yi enjoyed the fighting process very much. She didn't seem to be fighting for life and death, but rather seemed to be going to a dance appointment. This made Bai Pu frown slightly. He felt that Shi Yi seemed to have a big change in her personality. Of course, the focus today is not Shi Yi, but Blood Spider. Blood Spider, who appeared as a deputy general, faced a captain of the opponent, the tanked profession ascetic monk. Ascetic monk is a special profession that emphasizes endurance of poverty and proving one's piety. The more pious the ascetic monk is, the higher the all-round bonus brought by the professional skill, ascetic way. The ascetic monk's steel staff whirred in the wind and smashed into the venue, breaking the monument and splitting the stone, with great power. But the figure of Blood Spider was like a ghost, and the steel rod couldn't even touch the corner of her clothes. She was like a blood shadow, swirling around the opponent, and wisps of blood mist kept lingering around the ascetic monk. After a few minutes, the ascetic monk was already panting, but Blood Spider was full of energy, as if she was taking a walk. Knowing that he was no match for the ascetic monk, the Blood Spider could only raise his hand to admit defeat. Without a single sword, Blood Spider defeated the enemy captain, a level 6 hero who had comprehended the mystery of the mountain. In the singles phase, Zilligong directly won the game 4-0. Not only did Bai Pu not have the opportunity to fight in a singles, but even the team battle was saved. Compared with last year, the contrast is very obvious. The communities of major universities all cried out that the wolf is coming. Unexpectedly, the Zilligong, which was led by one god and 4 pits last year, has actually risen to a big step this year, and has the atmosphere of a truly strong team. The improvement in the strength of the Zilligong school team is partly due to Bai Pu's role as a banner, which attracted masters such as Amaterasu to join. On the other hand, the school has received a lot of resources from the education department, which are used to cultivate team members, greatly improving the strength of a group of newly emerged awakened geniuses such as Shi Yi and Mo Shanjushi. The audience originally regretted not being able to witness Bai Pu's action, but the shocking news that followed made them excited again. College championship and peak title battle? Gang Xin signed up for the Heavenly Man battle and has received a challenge letter. Fuck, is this news true or false? A sophomore is going to participate in the peak title battle. Am I crazy or is this world crazy? The comment area was in an uproar. This is no wonder. After all, the level gap between college students and the peak title battle is too big. It's like a middle school student claiming to challenge the world's difficult math problems. People's first reaction is absurd. According to rumors, Gang Xin not only signed up for the Heavenly Man battle, but also the Power King battle. Haha, it's just hype. I want to gain popularity like crazy. I can also sign up for the 5 major titles. It's nothing more than a 1-round tour. Anyway, the popularity is earned. A self-proclaimed sober student commented. Has the person above checked the information carefully? The challenge letter for the Heavenly Man battle can only be issued after the spirit world will review it. The qualification for the Power King battle can only be obtained after the strength attribute exceeds 200, which is also reviewed by the spirit world will. This shows that Gang Xin is capable, at least close to the level of the candidate boss, right? The high-level intersection, Xianfu. Second uncle. Look at this news. Haoshin looked incredible. Gang Xin actually dared to sign up to participate in the Heavenly Man title battle. In Haoshin's mind, Gang Xin's strength is about the same as his own, at most a level stronger than him. And his second uncle King Qiong is a contemporary Heavenly Man, with strength as high as the sky and as high as the sea, and it is difficult to measure. It has only been more than half a year since the last fight, and Gang Xin is actually going to compete with his second uncle? King Qiong glanced at the news and narrowed his eyes. I already knew the news. Gang Xin is a young man without any foundation after all, and he is too impatient. The candidate stage alone is enough for him. Yes, Gang Xin dared to sign up for the peak battle without the guidance of his elders. I'm afraid it will make a big joke. Second uncle, the news said that Gang Xin has used the challenge letter, and the will of the spiritual world has matched him with a celestial candidate as his opponent. Can you find out who the opponent is? As the holder of the celestial title, King Qiong has very high authority within the scope of the celestial title battle. After a brief search, he revealed an amused expression, "Good fellow, the candidate for the first match is Jiu Iao. Haha, he is a strong opponent of mine. If I don't have the Phoenix Wing Gilded Halberd, I may not be sure of winning." Haoshin heard his second uncle King Qiong talk about the last battle between heaven and man, and knew how powerful Jiu Iao was. He immediately revealed a gloating expression. It seems that the will of the spirit world also doesn't like Yangtze. It is sincerely trying to make him look ridiculous. It will be broadcast live around the world, and it will be a good show to watch. Chapter 589 Jiu Iao. Hello, everyone. This is the live broadcast of the Xianren title match qualifying match. I am the commentator, Qingning. I am Shuli. Two commentators, both handsome and beautiful, sat in the studio, with a large live screen behind them. In the middle of the two commentators sat a fat middle-aged man. This man's arms were as thick as an adult's waist, and he was a head taller than the two commentators. If he stood up, this fat middle-aged man would be at least 2 meters tall, sitting there like a mountain of meat. In front of the fat middle-aged man, there was a name tag with the words "warm wine" printed on it. Let me introduce to you all. We are honored to have invited the standing counselor of the Central Conference, the current King of Power, Lord Wenjiu. In a duel at the candidate level like this, Lord Li Wang, as a peak powerhouse, can see the intentions of the opponent's every step and the details of every move, bringing everyone a more complete viewing experience. King of Power Wenji laughed, without the condescending feeling of the central boss, and said in a very kind tone, "Thank you, two commentators. I am here as a guest commentator this time, mainly because I am curious about how young people have grown up. In terms of professionalism, I am definitely not as good as the two commentators." Qingning and Shuli hurriedly said a few humble words, and they were visibly a little restrained. As the official commentator of the global live broadcast, they were already very stressed. With the central boss sitting next to them, they were under even more pressure. "Okay, we can see that today's two powerhouses have entered the battlefield of heaven and man in the virtual spirit world," said the male commentator Shuli. The female commentator Qingning followed up with, "It is said that the peak title battlefield was specially opened up in the virtual spirit world by the will of the spirit world. In terms of simulation, it is almost the same as the real spirit world." Lord Li Wang, I wonder if what you said is right. Li Wang smiled and said, "The simulation is fine, after all, it is the work of the will of the spirit world. However, compared to the real world, the virtual spirit world still lacks a bit of the real sense of flesh and blood." After a pause, Li Wang explained, "The principle of the virtual spirit world is to scan the various data of the players on both sides and generate two temporary character cards. The players on both sides, each controlling their own character cards, fight in the battlefield of heaven and man. Although this can bring out their own strength, it does not have the kind of strength increase brought about by emotional outbursts, and it is even more impossible to have a breakthrough in combat skills, secrets, on the battlefield." Lord Li Wang is right, so there are only qualifying matches, which are arranged to be held in the virtual spirit world. When it comes to the main competition for the peak title, the will of the spirit world will open up a battlefield in the real spirit world for all the qualified strong men to compete. Qingning said. Indeed, the main competition is very exciting. Now, let's return to the qualifying round. Today's two players set a new record for the title match, that is, the largest age difference record. Shuli said. Yes, the challenger, Steelheart, is only 18 years old this year. And the challenger, Jiu, is already 38 years old, a full 20 years apart. It's really a contest between two generations. Steelheart has been awakened for less than 2 years, while Jiu has been awakened for more than 20 years. There is a huge experience gap between the two sides, so what does Lord Li Wang think of this battle? Li Wang rubbed his chin and said slowly, "I am more familiar with Jiu. We have competed and cooperated in the spirit world. His strength should not be underestimated. Although he is a melee profession, he has made up for his shortcomings in long-range attacks through dark gold equipment, which is still a great advantage in the title battle of the gods. As for Steelheart, I don't know much about him. I only know a little about him from friends. It seems that he lacks long-range attack means. So Lord Li Wang is more optimistic about Jiu. Li Wang shook his head, a shrewd light flashing in his small eyes. It's hard to say now. I can only say that Jiu has the advantage. Steelheart has risen so quickly, he must have something outstanding. On the big screen, the scene switched, and the two players had completed the pre-battle preparations and entered the battlefield of heaven and man. The battlefield of heaven and man in the virtual spiritual world is in the sky. 8 towering mountain giants sat in a circle, forming a large battlefield with a diameter of 3 kilometers. These mountain giants themselves cannot land, and there is a boiling acid sea directly below. This means that the two people in the decisive battle must fight in the air with a diameter of 3 kilometers. Fortunately, there is a black rope connecting every two opposing mountain giants. 4 black ropes intersect in the air, which is the only foothold for the opponents in the air. Bai Pu appeared in front of a mountain giant, with his feet on a black rope. The mountain wind blew, the black rope fluttered, and Bai Pu's figure also fluctuated with it. Bai Pu held the Doomsday Blade pistol. The pistol itself increases 30 points of agility. Bai Pu's current agility is as high as 127 points. Even if the mountain wind is fierce and the iron rope is swaying, his feet are still like glue, firmly attached to the black rope. Bai Pu thought about whether he could use the split characteristics of the pistol and the cane to equip the pistol first, so that his agility reaches the standard of the complete purple weapon, and then equip the cane. In this way, he would not need to activate the 2 amplification talents every time to use the complete purple weapon. However, after Bai Pu's attempts, this step did not work. When he tried to continue to equip the cane while holding the pistol and the cane would simultaneously show the prompt, "Your basic attributes are insufficient and cannot be equipped." Opposite, the candidate Jiu Iao appeared. Jiu Iao is a thin middle-aged man, wrapped in a black robe, exuding a cold breath. Heavenly candidate Jiu Iao, melee agility profession Mist Edge, estimated agility value of more than 200, other attributes are all over 100, and the professional skill is a field-like ability, Mist of the Netherworld. Bai Pu's mind flashed a series of information about Jiu Iao. Some of this information is public, and a considerable part is collected by Li Ling and the goddess of Wushan through various secret channels. For example, Jiu Iao purchased a dark gold equipment, Raider's flying axe, and strengthened his flying Chlorine, Storm World, and so on. On the other side, Jiu Iao spoke slowly. "Gangson, you are a tank profession, why are you here to join in the fun of the battle between heaven and man? This is not your home court, you'd better admit defeat quickly. The opponent is stalling for time and preparing to launch the nether mist." This thought flashed through Bai Pu's mind, and he strode on the black rope to close the distance with Jiu Iao. Jiu Iao curled his lips and revealed a hint of sneer. "It seems that the information is correct. You lack long-range attack capabilities and think about getting close at the first time. Although I am also good at close combat, I won't give you this opportunity." Chapter 590. This is the battle between heaven and man. Before Jiu Iao finished speaking, he had already jumped into the air. He raised his hand in mid-air, and a silver claw hook flew out and nailed on another black rope. The silver claw hook quickly reeled in the line as if it was equipped with a pulley, and Jiu Iao was ejected at a very fast speed to the landing point of the claw hook. Bai Pu ran halfway and had to change direction. He jumped into the air with a tap of his foot and rushed towards the black rope where Jiu Iao was. Jiu Iao drew out his long sword and raised his hand to chop out a black Dao Ki slash. Bai Pu tapped his toes in the air, activated the gang step, easily dodged the Dao Ki slash, and landed on the black rope where Jiu Iao was. Sure enough, the intelligence said that you have comprehended the wind-type ultimate skill and can move quickly in the air over a short distance. Is this the confidence you have in participating in the Heavenly Man title battle? Jiu Iao has always wanted to use rhetoric to distract Bai Pu. For him, in his long career as an awakener, he has accumulated rich combat experience, and even if he is distracted by talking, it will not affect his reaction in the battle. If he can make Bai Pu impatient, his chances of winning will undoubtedly increase. Bai Pu's face was calm, and he said nothing. After landing on the black rope, he still rushed towards Jiu Iao at high speed. Jiu Iao smiled slightly, and a thick black fog suddenly spread out on his body. The black fog seemed to have life, turning into several black tentacles that quickly extended around Bai Pu, shrouding Bai Pu in the fog. You are affected by the nether mist, your perception is suppressed, and you can only obtain limited combat information. Effects of the nether mist, known, sticky, limit your movement speed, attack speed, critical hit value, dodge value, and block value. Bai Pu felt like he was in a sticky fog. and even when he waved his arms, there were a few sticky mist filaments. This is a virtual spirit world, which is equivalent to virtual reality game. Bai Pu, as a major of gold, did not receive any additional treatment. If it were in the outside world or the real spirit world, Gaia's will would give him more and more detailed combat information based on Bai Pu's authority. However, Bai Pu had collected Guiao's information in advance, and a series of data flashed through his mind. The nether mist is a kind of soft control that slows down the opponent. It is actually a kind of secondary attribute bonus brought by reducing the agility value by 30-40 points. Special attention should be paid to the level 7 and 10 special effects. The level 7 special effect increases the priority and range by 1 point, and the level 10 special effect is even more powerful. It will give back the secondary attribute lost by the designated single target to the 9 nether body. However, after all, it is a large-scale domain-like ability. For the strong above the enhanced hero, it is just a little annoying, and it can't play a decisive role. The magic fighting spirit on Bai Pu's body erupted rapidly. At this time, his magic fighting spirit once again merged the 2 attributes of water and fire, and turned into 4 colors. In the past few months, Bai Pu practiced the 2 mysteries of water and fire, and collected 2 kinds of magic wonders. As the core of the water and fire magic circuit, he refined them into his body. The 4 elemental attributes are clearly defined and synchronously contained in Bai Pu's magic fighting spirit, and transformed into related attributes with Bai Pu's mind. In simple terms, if Bai Pu increases the output of Earth attribute magic power, the magic fighting spirit will turn dark yellow, and the other 3 attributes of wind, water and fire will shrink to a smaller value. If the output of fire attribute magic power is increased, the magic fighting spirit will turn red, and the other 3 attributes of wind, earth and fire will shrink simultaneously. Of course, the change of attributes will not change the effect of the original Sand Falls field. The data is still the same data, but the description method has changed. The real purpose of attribute change is attribute restraint. This magic fighting spirit cultivation method was named Prismatic Magic Fighting Spirit by Bai Pu. The Sand Falls field also turned into Prismatic Field. At this time, Bai Pu increased the output of wind attribute magic power, and the magic fighting spirit suddenly turned into sky blue. The mighty gale swept down, dispelling most of the surrounding netherworld fog, and even counterattacked. Using wind attribute magic fighting spirit to blow away the sticky netherworld fog was the method Bai Pu came up with. If it doesn't work, he will change to water attribute magic fighting spirit for flushing, or fire attribute evaporation. After all, there is a way to restrain the netherworld fog. The prismatic magic key makes Bai Pu's key attributes more changeable and flexible, and can cope with more complex situations. The prismatic field, which is mainly cyan and supplemented by the other 3 colors, completely enveloped Guiao. No matter which direction Guiao walked, he could feel the strong headwind. His movement speed slowed down, and at the same time, the prismatic field was still absorbing his vitality, turning into a shield and gathering on Bai Pu. You are affected by the awakened Steel Heart's professional skill, Prismatic Field, Wind, and cannot use any sprint-type acceleration skills with a priority not exceeding 9. You receive 60-120 points of dark attribute magic damage per second, which is transformed into an equal amount of shield for Steel Heart. You are affected by Steel Heart's professional skill, Prismatic Field, Wind, Level 4 Special Effect, Headwind Field, and your movement speed is reduced by 55 points. 27 points offset by the nether mist. Damn it, the data collected before is inaccurate. Gaixin's Sand Falls domain has turned into a damn prismatic domain. This kid, in just a few months, can actually make another breakthrough. The most important thing is, why is his domain ability better than mine? My professional energy strength and his should be at the same level, and the domain control ability should be a tie. I should offset half of the deceleration effect. But I only offset about 1/3. Could it be that his energy strength exceeds the Lord level? This is impossible. Guiao took a deep breath. Years of fighting career have made him extremely calm. Although there were some surprises, Guiao still made the most advantageous response. Swish! Guiao flew to the new black rope and slashed with a sword. The black rope where Bai Pu was located appeared fine cracks. He swung 2 more swords, and the black rope broke. The 4 black ropes in the duel are made of wrought iron produced in the advanced spiritual plane with a world strength of 5.0. They can be destroyed, but even the strongest ones have to spend some effort. Bai Pu tapped his toes and activated the Gangbu again to continue the pursuit. The two of them used their domain abilities at the same time, one escaping and the other chasing. Jiu'ai relied on his own super high agility to continuously cut the black ropes during the escape process. In the end, all 4 black ropes in the field were broken, some long and some short, hanging softly in the palms of the 8 statues. Bai Pu and Jiu'ai each reached out and grabbed the broken black rope. Under their feet was a sea of bubbling acid. According to the rules, falling into the sea of acid is equivalent to losing the qualification battle. The distance between the two was more than 1 kilometer. Close combat seemed to be a luxury, and Jiu'ai's goal was perfectly achieved. A small flying axe suddenly appeared in his palm. Steel Heart. See? This is the battle between heaven and man. Heavenly men of all generations are the kings of aerial combat. How dare you, a bulky tank like you, who relies on the little agility of your equipment, dream of the title of heaven. Chapter 591, Troll Lord's Command Axe. Due to the special nature of the Celestial War, there is almost no ground battlefield, and riding is not allowed, so the Awakener's agility and flying ability are particularly tested. The Celestials of all generations are basically peak agility masters who are good at aerial combat, with only 2 exceptions, but those 2 exceptions were all monsters who crushed other candidates in all aspects, and now they have already surpassed the level of Awakeners. Will Gangxin be the 3rd monster? Jiu'ai felt that with Gangxin's growth rate, if he was given another 10 years to accumulate, he might be able to achieve it. But now, Gangxin, who has just awakened for less than 2 years, is just a rookie who came to the Celestial War to give experience packs. As he spoke, Jiu'ai had already launched a long-range attack. He took a deep breath, and the small flying axe in his hand flashed a layer of dark golden luster. A layer of explosion ripples quickly spread, and the flying axe shot towards Bai Pu at an incredible speed. Bai Pu didn't have time to make an evasive move before he was hit by the flying axe. And after the hit, the roaring sound of breaking through the air sounded. The speed of this flying axe completely surpassed the speed of sound. With Jiu'ai's extremely high-level long-range throwing expertise, it even broke the sound barrier, leaving Bai Pu no time to dodge. Fortunately, Bai Pu had already switched to the adaptive evolution state before Jiu'ai made the throwing action. At this time, his adaptive evolution can activate 2 evolution states at the same time. Against Jiu'ai, a profession that mainly outputs physical damage, Bai Pu naturally chose the combination of heretic skin plus fluid skeleton to resist sharp damage and blunt damage. By activating these 2 evolution states at the same time, Bai Pu can further activate the mimicry transformation. However, he has not yet revealed this new trump card. The damage caused by the flying axe is not high, only a mere 100 points. However, the prompt that followed made Bai Pu's face change. Jiu'ai's equipment, Troll Lord's Command Axe additional skill, deprivation takes effect, randomly depriving you of an equipment and forcing it to leave, lasting for 30 minutes. Troll Lord's Command Axe plus 4 special effect, designated, change to designated deprivation of an equipment. The currently designated equipment is Vigilance of the Demon Spider Queen. Troll Lord's Command Axe plus 7 special effect, confiscate. During the deprivation of equipment, the user gains the bonus attribute of the deprived equipment. Bai Pu's dark gold tower shield disappeared and returned to Bai Pu's storage space. When Bai Pu wanted to take it out, he found that the shield turned gray and could not be used. With a flash of light, the powerful axe returned to Jiu'ai's hand. However, the luster of the axe had also dimmed, obviously because the attached deprivation skill had entered the cooldown time. Your dark gold tower shield, all attributes plus 5, right? Jiu'ai smiled slightly, shook his head and said, the bonus is secondary, the point is to prevent you from shrinking behind the shield. A bulky tank, how can it resist my dark gold axe without a shield? Jiu'ai raised his hand again, and in the sonic boom, the axe hit Bai Pu again, causing 97 points of damage again, and then returned to Jiu'ai's hand. Obviously Jiu'ai's tactic is to cut meat with a blunt knife, grinding away Bai Pu's health point bit by bit. 8,000 health points, so what? 100 at a time, 80 axe throws will wear them all out. Counting Bai Pu's health points naturally recovering, he can only last another 10 to 20 times. That dark gold axe should have 3 additional skills. In addition to the main skill deprivation, there is also a skill that greatly speeds up the launch speed, so I don't have time to dodge. a skill that automatically retracts after throwing, so Jiu Ai can use it infinitely. Fortunately, he didn't know that I had an additional high-level dark gold shoulder armor with higher amplification attributes, so he only deprived me of my shield. But he was lucky. I lost 5 points of all attributes, so I can't use the full version of Doomsday Purple Weapon. Bai Pu calmly analyzed the countermeasures. Although he couldn't get complete and detailed information in the virtual spirit world, he could make up for it through analysis. When Jiu Ai used the flying axe to attack, Bai Pu was also trying to dodge. He kicked the mountain colossus with 1 foot and his body swayed at high speed. However, Jiu Ai's throwing expertise is extremely high, and it is not an exaggeration to say that he can hit the target with 100 steps. No matter how Bai Pu shakes, he can accurately capture Bai Pu's position and hit the target with his flying axe accurately. Passive attack is not Bai Pu's character. Bai Pu first activates the 7th level special effect of prismatic field, deformation, turning the spherical field into a cone, greatly extending it, and capturing Jiu Ai from a distance. In addition to limiting Jiu Ai's speed, the 24 points of vitality drain damage caused per second, after being reduced by Jiu Ai, will also be added to Bai Pu's body surface to form a shield, slowing down the speed at which his own life value is consumed. Jiu Ai's face changed, and he quickly calculated in his mind, his flying axe attack is about 1 per second. In this way, the damage that Gangxin suffers per second has dropped to 70 to 80 points, and he has to bear 20 to 30 points. Gangxin has a life value of about 8,000, which can bear more, but he also has nearly 4,000 health points. If this continues, he will be the one who laughs last. Jiu Ai breathed a sigh of relief and continued to fire flying axes steadily. But Bai Pu will not let him have his wish. After enduring the 3rd flying axe attack, Bai Pu opened his right hand and used a lasso attack on Jiu Ai. The colored chain hit Jiu Ai, but when he was dragging, a phantom of an elk rose on Jiu Ai's dark golden leather armor. The fighting spirit chain was tied to the phantom of the elk, and it was only a shadow that was pulled back. Obviously Jiu Ai used a skill of using a substitute. Bai Pu rushed directly in the air. His figure flashed and changed several times in a row, and he rushed in front of Jiu Ai. However, Jiu Ai used a silver flying claw and catapulted to the other side before Bai Pu arrived. His flying claw catapulting is not a sprint-type displacement, but a passive traction, which will not be restricted by Bai Pu's skills. Bai Pu's Gangbu, which is used continuously in the air, consumes a lot. However, Bai Pu has another matching skill, magic sand. When Bai Pu needs a foothold, he condenses the magic sand and spreads it in the air for himself to step on, thereby refreshing the number of times the Gangbu steps are empty and saving consumption to the greatest extent. Using multiple skills at the same time, and maintaining the domain. How can this kid have such rich experience and skills at such a young age? Has he been practicing since he was in his mother's womb? Jiu Ai's eyes shrank. He didn't know that Bai Pu's ability to multitask through meditation training and fighting with multiple powerful images at the same time was far better than his. Bai Pu had already mastered the combination of Gangbu plus magic sand. Moreover, Bai Pu's Gangbu sprint was flexible and varied, and the pursuit speed was extremely fast. The only thing that made Jiu Ai feel at ease was that his thunderclaw had been strengthened and greatly lengthened, and the advantage was that the distance was far enough. For the time being, he could avoid being approached by Bai Pu. Chapter 592, After all, you have a shallow foundation. Bai Pu pursued very patiently. If an ordinary person was hit by the supersonic speed of the dark gold flying axe, he would definitely stagger, lose balance, and interrupt the rhythm of flight. But with Bai Pu's strong resilience of multiple layers, he was hit by the flying axe without even shaking, so he was able to maintain the speed of pursuit. Finally, when Jiu Ai shot out the silver flying claw for the 3rd time, the opportunity came. Bai Pu wiped his waist with one hand, and the handguard savior appeared in his palm. He suddenly made a move and threw it in a roundabout way, all in one throw. The handguard made a piercing whistle, like a purple electric light shooting. It accurately hit the chain of the silver flying claw. The king-level purple weapon showed its power for the first time, and the silver flying claw shook violently, and was pierced from the middle and pierced into the chest of a mountain giant, nailing it. Jiu Ai tried to pull it out, but the handguard was deeply nailed into the mountain giant with a strength of more than 5.0, and it couldn't be pulled out for a while. He was pulled by the elastic force of the chain and crashed into the mountain statue. Bai Pu stepped on the gang step. His figure was like a meteor, and he caught up almost without any order. Bai Pu stabbed out with a gun, and the prismatic Dao Qi drew a Dao Qi arrow that was more than 10 meters long, piercing Jiu Ayao's vest. Jiu Ayao's flying claw equipment was nailed, and he could no longer escape, and was about to be hit. However, Jiu Ayao was a candidate who had been famous for a long time after all. Two misty black wings suddenly emerged and condensed from Jiu Ayao's back. With a flap, Jiu Ayao flew high into the sky and barely avoided Bai Pu's attack. The two misty black wings were also condensed by mist of the netherworld. Giant heart, don't be surprised. Jiu Ayao flapped his black wings, his voice full of the confidence of a winner. If you only rely on a flying claw, how can you compete for the throne of heaven? I'm not surprised. Bai Pu stepped on the suspended sand table made of magic sand and said lightly, I disabled your flying claw to prevent you from long-distance displacement. Let me remind you that in my domain, you cannot use any active acceleration and displacement skills. The prismatic domain once again swept Jiu Ayao in, and Bai Pu stepped on the gang step and rushed forward. Jiu Ayao suddenly woke up. All his acceleration skills turned gray and could not be used, and the two sprint skills were also banned. The importance of Thunder Flying Claw is more important than I thought. Gangxin realized this, so he was willing to destroy one of his weapons to exchange it with my Flying Claw. Jiu Ayao's Black Fog also has the effect of deceleration, and it could originally be exchanged with Bai Pu's Prismatic Domain. However, when holding a king-level purple weapon such as Doomsday Edge or Savior, Bai Pu's Fighting Spirit received an attack strength bonus. Even with the incomplete accessories, Bai Pu's energy intensity is comparable to that of the Lord. In addition, the wind attribute of the prismatic field, which has a restraining effect on the black fog, has offset most of the effects of Jiu Ayao's netherworld mist. This resulted in the deceleration effect on Bai Pu being much less than that on Jiu Ayao in the field confrontation between the two. What's more, Bai Pu's prismatic field can also block acceleration and sprint-type displacement. Jiu Ayao can't move quickly, but Bai Pu can, which means that close combat between the two is inevitable. In an instant, Bai Pu pounced on Jiu Ayao's side. Jiu Ayao held a single sword and Bai Pu held a pistol. While the audience was dazzled, they had already fought each other for 7 or 8 moves, and the sound of the weapons colliding was almost connected. Jiu Ayao is indeed a top-level strong man, and his one-handed swordsmanship has reached level 10. On the other side, Bai Pu's combat expertise with one-handed long-handled weapons, spears, seems to be only level 8 or 9. In addition to his agility advantage, Jiu Ayao's confidence increased again after a few fights. After another confrontation of fighting spirits, both of them retreated 2 steps. Jiu Ayao laughed loudly and said, Gangxin, I know you used the innate secret technique to temporarily increase your combat expertise. It's a pity that you have a shallow foundation after all. Using the innate secret technique, you can only barely approach the combat expertise of the top masters, but you can't catch up. It can only be said that you are not qualified for the peak title battle. In fact, I haven't used the innate blessing yet. Bai Pu looked at Jiu Ayao's astonished eyes and said calmly, now I'm going to use it. Boom, a shadow of a strong man holding a short spear merged into Bai Pu's body. Two-handed swordsmanship and two-handed long-handled weapon expertise originally have something in common. Bai Pu, with a foundation of an 8th level awakener, practiced against strong enemies every day in the genetic mind image, and practiced both single-handed and two-handed long-handled weapon expertise to level 7. Combined with the limit breaker, it is a level 8 expertise. Then Bai Pu started gene fusion and chose the gene fragments of the Gilded One, so that his one-handed long-handled weapon, spear, expertise soared to level 10. Including those who broke the limit, it reached level 11. Level 11 is a theoretically existing level. Because the combat expertise limit of the Awakener stage is to advance to level 10. Bai Pu stabbed out with a spear. The speed of the short spear less than 2 meters long was not fast, but in Jiu Ayao's eyes, it seemed to fill the entire field of vision. His eyes were full of the flashing cold light of the spearhead. No matter which direction he avoided, the tip of the spear would pierce him like a maggot on the tarsal bone. Is this the ultimate skill? All things in the universe. Jiu Ayao's face changed. Facing the ultimate skill, he could only choose to confront head-on. The single sword danced, bringing up many sword shadows, stabbing at Bai Pu's major vital points. Attacking the enemy must rescue, Besieging Wei to save Zhao, this is a good move. But Jiu Ai misjudged one point, that is, Bai Pu's attack speed. The shotgun didn't seem to move fast, but the moment Jiu Ai made his move, Bai Pu's movement suddenly accelerated, as if he had directly pulled out a few frames in the pre-swing action of the stab, and stabbed Jiu Ai at an incredible speed. When Bai Pu first faced the Blood Ring Emperor, the opponent also had this skill. Drawing the gun, putting the gun back, and then drawing the gun again, the interval between the two attacks represents the speed of the awakened person. The speed of the attack is determined by the agility attribute, which is an unchangeable truth. The action process from the gun tip stabbing out to hitting the enemy is called the attack pre-swing action. The action process of hitting the enemy and then retracting it is called the attack post-swing action. The Blood Ring Emperor can shorten the attack pre-swing action and draw the gun at lightning speed, so that the opponent has no time to react, increasing the possibility of himself dealing effective damage, but the price is that the action of putting the gun back is slower, that is, extending the attack post-swing action. With Bai Pu's 11th level advanced combat expertise, he did better than the Blood Ring Emperor, and he could do it at will, and even the top masters of the candidate level like Jiu Ai were fooled. Jiu Ai only had time to avoid the heart, and the shot pierced his shoulder. Boom. Under the outbreak of fighting spirit, Jiu Ai felt that half of his body had lost consciousness, and blood spurted out. Half of his arm drooped limply. A scarlet critical damage number appeared on the big screen. 1632. Chapter 593, Outperforming the opponent is not advisable. Your attack caused 1632 sharp damage to the Awakener, Jiu Ai. 788 points were shared. The actual damage value received by the target is 844 points. The single damage exceeds 1/6 of the target's total health value, and the target's arm is temporarily disabled. Jiu Ai's face turned pale. He had been trying to provoke Bai Pu's emotions with words, but after this attack, he finally shut up. He could feel that this shot seemed to contain the illusion of a mountain collapsing, and his body also had a tendency to collapse. Jiu Ai felt fortunate that his other dark gold equipment, the Siren Soul and the Siren Skin, helped him share about half of the damage. If there was no damage sharing skill, the 1600 points of damage from this shot would have fallen entirely on him. Even if the shoulder was hit, which was not a vital part, the surging and shattering artistic conception contained in Bai Pu's mountain collapse secret would definitely tear his body apart and kill him instantly. But the situation is still dangerous now. After taking this blow, the Siren Soul was seriously injured. Jiu Ai also lost one of his arms. Under normal circumstances, Jiu Ai would have raised his hands to admit defeat. However, his desire for the title of Heavenly Man and his unwillingness to give up after 3 years of preparation made him grit his teeth, hold the sword in one hand, and continue to fight Bai Pu desperately. Bai Pu had no intention of dodging. He used the gang step, stepped on the magic sand, chased Jiu Ai closely, and kept swinging his gun to stab. Jiu Ai is worthy of being a Heavenly Man candidate with an agility value of over 200. Even if one of his arms was lost, the attack he launched with one hand was still dazzling. One sword after another, he kept causing scars on Bai Pu's body surface. However, the damage number is hard to describe. 98. 107. Occasionally, he would use all his strength to hit a critical hit, but it could only cause 200 or 300 damage. Facing Bai Pu's 8,000 health points, not to mention tickling, it was basically the level of scraping. Although Bai Pu's attack speed was slower and his effective hit rate was not as good as Jiu Ai's, as long as he hit a target, the damage would be over 1,000, which could directly disable some of Jiu Ai's limbs and cause disability. This was when Jiu Ai was suppressed by agility and Bai Pu had a hard time hitting a critical hit. If he hit a critical hit, Jiu Ai, who lost the burden of the Siren Soul, would be killed instantly. Boom. Jiu Ai used 3 consecutive swords and displayed the powerful ultimate attack sword skill 3 Holy Flower Slash, but it only caused 3 several-inch deep wounds on Bai Pu's body. The damage caused by each sword was less than 300, and the total was less than 1,000. Bai Pu took the 3 Holy Flower Slash and took advantage of Jiu Ai's opportunity to display his sword skills to stab Jiu Ai in the abdomen with a backhand shot. 907. The simple shot emptied Jiu Ai's last life value. At the moment when he turned into white light and disappeared, Jiu Ai's heart was still full of resentment. No, Why is it that my 10 hits on him are not as painful as his hitting me once? Horizontal ellipsis. The big screen finally stopped at a close-up photo of Bai Pu. His eyebrows and eyes were like paintings, and he was heroic and upright, with a 360-degree beauty. In the official live broadcast room, the two commentators Qingning and Xu Li came back to their senses from the shock. Okay, congratulations to Gang Xin for successfully defeating the candidate for the Heavenly Man, Jiu. We noticed that the fighting styles of the two strong men, Gang Xin and Jiu, tend to be at two extremes. Jiu's attack speed is extremely fast. With the help of Black Wing's flight, he can make multiple effective attacks in a short period of time, which can be said to be extremely gorgeous. Gang Xin's effective strikes are far less than Jiu, but each shot is powerful and heavy, and the damage figures made us commentators amazed, and we can hardly understand his damage. Yes, this kind of single output of 1 or 2,000 is really terrifying. Generally, only top masters can hit such exaggerated numbers when they are bullying. In the peak title battle, both parties are top masters, and the damage reduction ratio of armor and equipment is amazing. It is rare to see such a damage number. Lord Wenjiu, can you explain it to us? Qingning kicked the ball to Wenjiu. Whether in the live broadcast room or in the online comment area, the focus of everyone's attention is not the exciting battle process of this battle between heaven and man, but the terrible damage value inflicted by Bai Pu. Don't think that a damage number of 1 or 2,000 is low. You must know that high-level awakeners, except for tank blood cows, generally have a life value of 2 or 3,000. A damage of 1 or 2,000 at a time, if it hits the vital point, is enough to meet the standard of instant kill. Wenjiu stared at the close-up photo of Bai Pu's victory on the big screen, and said with emotion, "Sometimes, I really feel that I am old." This steel-hearted player, who is only 18 years old, may have a combat power amplitude of more than 15. Can I ask Lord Wenjiu what combat power amplitude is? Qingning, as a beautiful woman, is a little older than Xu Li, and asked immediately. Wenjiu said, combat power amplitude refers to the strongest output multiplier that an awakener can burst out. As we all know, the attack power of an awakened person is equal to the strength attribute plus the weapon attack power. Take Steelheart as an example. He has just participated in the qualification review of the King of Power. His ultimate strength should be more than 200 points, and his normal state should be 150 to 160 points. Assuming that he is using a high-level Dark Gold plus 7 weapon, the minimum additional attack power is about 100 points, so Steelheart's regular attack power should be 250 points. Bai Pu came back from the virtual spirit world at this time and was also watching the live broadcast. There are many people who want to interview Bai Pu, but few people can get Bai Pu's personal terminal account. Basically, they will send interview requests through the assistant under the practical officer Li Ling, and then be blocked by Li Ling. Bai Pu was left alone, so he watched the live broadcast. The commentary of the current King of Power is still worth watching. Sure enough, King of Power Wenjiu's judgment on Bai Pu's attack power was quite accurate. Bai Pu's regular attack power is 274 points. This refers to the regular attack power, which takes the minimum value of the weapon's additional attack power, and does not consider the maximum value. The maximum value of the weapon's attack power is to be exerted through the user's skills, which belongs to the category of combat power amplitude. This is the state of using the shotgun Doomsday Edge. If it is replaced with a complete long gun, the attack power will soar to 334. Of course, the so-called plus 7 high-level Dark Gold weapon does not exist. The regular attack power of the Doomsday Blade is comparable to or even exceeds that of a plus 7 Dark Gold weapon without being enhanced. The King of Power Wenjiu, the process was wrong, but the result was right. In the live broadcast room, Qingning continued to ask, then how did 250 attack power deal 1,600 damage? The armor and equipment enhancement and damage reduction of the Jiu player are also deducted here. The theoretical damage number that is not reduced must be higher. Wenjiu nodded and said, this involves the concept of combat power amplitude. Steelheart's combat expertise should be close to the maximum level, which will provide more than 3 times the damage multiplier. Critical strikes generally provide a double multiplier, and there is also professional energy intensity. Enhanced heroes also have a multiplier of 2 or 3 times. The maximum attack power multiplier of weapons is generally more than 2 times. The cumulative number of these multipliers is the combat power amplitude. Gaxin's single-shot outputs 1,632. Taking into account Jiu Iao's luxurious equipment and his own high-endurance attribute, the theoretical output of Gaxin's shot should be close to 4,000. Calculated in this way, Gaxin's output multiplier should have reached more than 15 times, and his combat power amplitude exceeds 15. That's why I say that the young are to be feared. The female commentator King Ning nodded, counted on her slender fingers, and asked in confusion, "Lord Wenjiu, I roughly calculated the multipliers you just mentioned, and the total should be at most 10 times, which is a bit different from 15 times. Wenjiu smiled and said, "There are some special cases. For example, after some equipment is enhanced to a high level, there may be entries that change the critical strike multiplier, increasing the 200% critical strike damage multiplier to 300% or even higher. There are also some other means of increasing the multiplier, but these are generally information that only high-level awakeners can know, so I won't expand on them here." All the high-level awakeners watching the battle in the live broadcast room, including some genius mid-level awakeners, had a word flashing through their minds: mystery. The ultimate skill can also increase damage. When the ultimate skill is mastered, it can provide a 2.8-fold increase in power. However, even with this 2.8-fold multiplier, the multiplier that can be calculated is only about 14 times. Where does the last multiplier come from? Many high-level awakeners have this question in their minds. Bai Pu also thought about it himself, and his eyes finally fixed on one of the attributes of Doomsday Blade. Attack strength plus 70. When Bai Pu used the Doomsday Blade to fight, he really felt that when his Dao Qi flowed through this pistol, it seemed to pass through some kind of amplifier, and the output Dao Qi was more condensed and more powerful. Originally, Bai Pu's prismatic demon Dao Qi was a cultivation method that surpassed the enhanced hero profession, and the maximum Dao Qi value of a single output was as high as 200 points. This is a threefold multiplier. After the attack strength bonus of the Doomsday Blade, the 200 points of Dao Qi output by Bai Pu must be more powerful, equivalent to the output caused by 300 or 400 points of Dao Qi. I don't know how it was calculated, but it did increase Bai Pu's damage by about 2 times. Bai Pu estimated that his basic attack power was 274, and the combat power amplitude should be around 16-17 times. The highest output of ordinary attacks was about 4,400-4,600. It can be seen that Jiu Iao, as a top awakener, has a very high damage reduction coefficient, which can reduce about 60% to 70% of physical damage. As an agile awakener, such a damage reduction coefficient is already amazing. Of course, Bai Pu, who has adaptive evolution, has a higher damage reduction coefficient, which can reduce 80% to 90% of physical damage. If the Immortal King's 4-piece set of damage reduction skills, Ancestor Blessing, is activated, the damage reduction coefficient will be even higher. This is also the reason why Jiu Iao obviously has a set of luxurious equipment, but the damage to Bai Pu is very scratching. In this battle, Bai Pu did not open the set of damage reduction skills, nor did he use the skill of Paladin of the Sufferer. Even the long-range attack method of the magic sand was not used, and the complete Doomsday Spear was hidden by him. The reason for doing so is that most of the cards inside have never been exposed to the public. Bai Pu still wants to use them when he encounters a tough guy, to kill him at first sight. Now the comments on the internet have shown a one-sided trend. Fuck, Gangson is about the same age as me? We are both college students, but he is so fierce. Gangson, who else? This is interesting. Gangson is also the captain of the Zilligong team in the college championship? Fuck ruthless. College championship? Colleges compete for runner-up. As a junior dog from Zhejiang University, I announce in advance that the champion of this college championship is Zilligong, and the runner-up is Zhejiang University. Other schools please compete for the third place. Okay, let's open champagne at halftime, right? This year's runner-up must be Arkayanun, and no one can take it away. The internet is in a carnival. Bai Pu's fans are increasing exponentially. Admiring the strong is a psychological commonality of many people, not to mention that Bai Pu is so good-looking and his growth process is so inspiring. Bai Pu's new and old fans rush to various online communities, digging out posts that originally badmouthed Bai Pu and mocked him, and lashed out at him. You can come on, too? Just sign up first. It's so funny, a piece of trash who can't even pass the qualification review dares to come to the yin-yang candidates. Wake up, You will never see the taillights of Steelheart in your life. The posters whose graves were dug up shrank their necks and became quails. It is not advisable to output against the wind. Wait until Steelheart loses, and then come out to fight with the wind. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 594. Why is it so weird? You defeated a candidate of the previous Heavenly Man. You have obtained the official right to participate in the Heavenly Man title qualification battle. The time of the Heavenly Man title finals, December 16th, 807 Lingian. During this period, you also need to pass 2 matches with Heavenly Man challengers. If you win both matches, you will enter the Heavenly Man title finals. Bai Pu looked at the special item Heavenly Man title challenge book he had obtained. The text on it had quietly changed and turned into a certificate of Heavenly Man title qualification subject, and there were 3 gray cloud patterns on it. One of the gray clouds had been lit up by the white cloud, and there were 2 gray clouds left that had not yet been lit. Obviously, the first white cloud was obtained by Bai Pu defeating Jiu Iao. Next, Bai Pu, like Jiu Iao, will be a candidate and accept challenges from other strong people who have Heavenly Man challenge books, and the opponent will be matched by the will of the spirit world. Winning 2 games will light up the remaining 2 gray clouds and participate in the Heavenly Man title finals on December 16th. It's the end of October now, and there are only 1 or 2 months left before the finals of the Heavenly Man title. It seems that I can't retreat during this period, nor can I go to the spirit world for adventure. It just so happens that I can finish the college championship. Bai Pu silently calculated in his heart. The first round of the Heavenly Man qualifying tournament that Bai Pu participated in caused a stir far beyond the internet. In the unknown secret rooms and the training grounds at the junction, many peak powerhouses watched this game. Whether it was live broadcast or replay, they all had a preliminary understanding of Bai Pu's tyranny. At the same time, they were more curious and wanted to know where the upper limit of Bai Pu's strength was. Did Jiu Iao force Bai Pu to his limit? In addition to the Heavenly Man title, Bai Pu also signed up for the title of King of Power. It is said that Bai Pu also raised 2 leader-level dinosaur mounts at the junction. Judging from his posture, he will also get involved in the title of the Throne of God later. He wants all the 3 major titles this year, so will he give up the 2 battles of Sword Saint and Dragon King next year? It's hard to say. All the top masters, no matter which title they are competing for, have paid close attention to Bai Pu's strength. Does he have any hidden tricks? How much do he have hidden? Will he pose a threat to himself? The most nervous among them are the top masters competing for the title of Heavenly Man. At the border of Xianfu, King Qiang watched the battle videos of Bai Pu since his debut over and over again, including the battle between Bai Pu and his nephew, Haoshan, in the last college championship. Why is it so weird? King Qiang murmured. Last year and this year, after a year, Bai Pu's strength can no longer be described as a leap forward, it is simply a rocket straight up to the sky. Originally thought that Jiu Iao could easily shatter Bai Pu's daydreams, but now King Qiang has to list Bai Pu as the most dangerous opponent. Haoshan is even more distressed. Originally, when he heard that Bai Pu repelled the Dragon King at the border of Heavenly Residence, he was already jealous and almost crazy, secretly comforting himself that it was because of the assistance of the official army, not Bai Pu's own strength. Now, Bai Pu fought head-on and defeated Jiu Iao, whom his second uncle regarded as a strong rival. Such a huge gap was clearly displayed in front of him, and Haoshan's jealousy and resentment became even more serious. This time he couldn't even find an excuse to comfort himself. He could only hope that his second uncle would defeat him and successfully defend the title of Xianrun. In this way, Bai Pu is at most a candidate for Xianrun. Second uncle, you are different from Jiu Iao. You have a golden relic weapon in your hand. Steelheart has a shallow foundation and is definitely not your opponent. Haoshan persuaded. King Qiang sighed. In fact, apart from the title of Heavenly Man, my strength is only slightly better than Jiu Iao. In the finals of the title of Heavenly Man, my title will be temporarily revoked, and all bonuses will no longer exist. If it weren't for the Phoenix Wind-gilded halberd, I really don't have full confidence that I can defeat him. Haoshan felt even more uneasy when he heard his second uncle's words. He suddenly had an idea and said, Second uncle, why not mobilize public opinion and support Gangsun? List him as the #1 favorite for this heavenly man battle. King Qiong narrowed his eyes and looked at Haoshan with appreciation. Your idea is good, tell me more about it. Haoshan understood that his second uncle was testing him. He smiled and said, Second uncle, didn't you say that the finals of the title of Heavenly Man will be held in a mirror plane opened up by the will of the spirit world? This is not a one-on-one. As long as you exaggerate the threat of Gangsun and let the other candidates join hands to kill Gangsun first, won't you have the greatest chance of winning? Haoshan became more and more excited as he spoke. The reason why it is difficult for previous holders of the title of Celestial being to defend their titles is because of the mixed race system in the finals. All candidates regard previous Celestial beings as their biggest enemies and work together to get rid of them. Now that you have Steelheart as your shield to help you share the pressure, I think it's a good thing. King Qiong touched his chin and said with a smile, You finally hit the point. The Celestial being finals are more complicated, not a simple arena, and it's not that easy to get other people to join forces. However, the existence of Steelheart can at least make it easier for me. The elimination round of the college championship is held every week. After the victory in the last round, Zilligong has become one of the top 16. The singles in the two elimination rounds of 16-8 and 8-4 are not like the direct 4-0 crushing of the top 32. In the first round, Mashinjushi lost a game, and in the next round, Amaterasu also lost a game. One of them is an enhanced elite tank, and the other is a hero class assistant. They can win when they encounter opponents who are restrained by themselves or despise themselves, but they will still lose when they encounter hero classes that restrain themselves. However, these two rounds still did not reach a team battle, because Mashinjushi won the second round and Amaterasu won the first round. Zili University of Technology, relying on the consecutive victories of Shiai, Zuzu and Bai Pu, won the single-handed stage with a score of 4-1 in both rounds of elimination. The audience finally saw Bai Pu appear in the single-handed stage. But they still couldn't feast their eyes, because Bai Pu was so strong that the appearance time in the two rounds was calculated in seconds. Facing a mere level 6 hero class, a lasso strike grabbed it, followed by a flat attack, and the opponent turned into light and left. In the Xianren qualifying tournament, he fought against a candidate-level boss Jiu Ayao. Because the opponent was very strong, Bai Pu's crushing advantage could not be seen. But in the arena of the college championship, Bai Pu completely beat these college students, as simple as an adult beating a child. This also made those college students who were ready to make a move give up. Originally everyone thought that Bai Pu had narrowed the gap between the college championship and the top title battle, and some outstanding players, such as Skywalker, might be able to compete with the top players. But now the facts have proved that it was not Bai Pu who narrowed the gap between the two events, but Bai Pu himself stood out from the crowd, completely surpassing the level of the college championship, and was leading by a huge margin. Chapter 595, Wonderful Starry Sky. Later, Bai Pu played two more Heavenly Man challenges. There were two newly emerged top awakeners who signed up for the Heavenly Man battle this year and were approved by the Spirit World Whale. However, the strength of these two people was a bit inferior to Jiu Ayao. Bai Pu won without much effort and without revealing any trump cards. His test subject certificate officially lit up all the gray clouds and turned into Heavenly Man title final qualification certificate. Bai Pu also became the second qualified person for the Heavenly Man title battle. The first was the last Heavenly Man King Qiong. As the last Heavenly Man, he did not need to participate in the qualifying round and could directly enter the final round. Although the process of Bai Pu defeating the two challengers was not exciting enough, the attention of these two games was unprecedentedly increased. All kinds of Chinese media are reprinting and exaggerating Bai Pu's strength, as if this year's Heavenly Man title is already in Bai Pu's pocket. This wind direction is not right. It seems that someone wants to praise you to death. Li Ling was worried. It doesn't matter. Bai Pu didn't care. This will indeed attract a large number of fans, and you will gain considerable popularity in a short period of time. However, the higher you stand, the harder you fall. Your number of black fans will also increase. If you lose, there will definitely be a large number of black fans who will start to counterattack you. Li Ling's assistant, Su Xiaoxiao said. The people who secretly support me are not trying to cultivate so-called black fans. Bai Pu shook his head and said, he is trying to build momentum for the Xianren finals and make me a target of public criticism. Was it King Keong from Fu who ordered it? This method is too despicable. He didn't consider that you might be counterattacked by black fens and might destroy a genius. But Li Ling always remembered that Bai Pu was only 18 years old and had unlimited possibilities in the future. If you want to avoid the counterattack of the black fans, you only need to do one thing. Bai Pu said calmly, keep winning. When Li Ling and the others stared in astonishment, Bai Pu stood up and said, I'm going to the quiet room to practice, you guys go and do your own things. Looking at Bai Pu's tall and straight back, Su Xiaoxiao murmured, I almost understand why little Bai Pu has achieved what he has today. That night, a strange scene happened in the starry sky. The stars in the sky have become bigger by dozens of times. The sixth magnitude stars that were originally difficult to distinguish with the naked eye are now hanging in the night sky, but they are as big as fists. And the stars that were originally very bright are even bigger like lanterns, shining brightly on the earth. On the other side of the earth, in the United States and Canada, during the day, there was a terrible scene of the sun expanding. Fortunately, the expansion of the sun did not bring about any changes in heat, as if the expanding sun was just a projection. This strange scene only lasted for about a quarter of an hour and then disappeared, and the sky returned to normal. However, the waves caused by the strange scene in the sky were far from over. Discussion posts on the internet were like snowflakes, and everyone was surprised to know what had happened. During the spiritual world war, there were occasional abnormal celestial phenomena, such as red rain from the sky, which happened several times. But like this time, the sun, moon, and stars in the sky became dozens of times larger and brighter, but it had never happened before. Soon, experts came out to refute the rumor, saying that this abnormal astronomical phenomenon was a normal space fluctuation, which had also occurred in ancient history, so everyone should not panic. In the United States and Canada Federation, in a century-old castle, a high-level secret meeting was underway. There were only 7 or 8 people in the small conference room. But these 7 or 8 people were all top awakeners with strong auras. If Bai Pu was here, he would be able to recognize that the person presiding over the meeting was Yellen, the elect of the Lord of Light. You are all leaders of the top forces in the Federation, and we have been married to our Saint Yolo family for many generations and have close relations. Yellen Saint Yolo said solemnly, based on our trust in you, the Saint Yolo family will reveal this invaluable secret information to you. Yellen, we are old friends, just say it straight. A fat middle-aged white man said, stroking his thick palm. Don't be anxious. This secret information is very shocking, even to the point of absurdity. Our family has a third-level elect of the Lord of Light, and this information was obtained from our God. If the source is not absolutely reliable, I would not believe it. Yellen took a deep breath. Please watch a magic projection. On the screen, a planet with a red body appeared. This is Yazd, also known as the Red Flame Star. This is a habitable planet 4,000 light-years away from the Earth. It is inhabited by a human race with the same body structure as me, and also belongs to Gaia's will. As Yellen spoke, the magic image zoomed in quickly, and humans with dark red skin appeared one by one. The red people of Yazd. Their skin seems to have evolved to adapt to the dry and hot climate of Yazd. It is easiest for the awakened people of Yazd to awaken the mysteries of the fire system. The average energy intensity of this planet has reached 1.8, which is much stronger than the energy level of the Earth, so the overall level of the awakened people is also higher. The fat middle-aged white man obviously also knows some common sense about extraterrestrial planets, and added casually. The magic image continued to play, and the heads of the major families watched silently. They knew that Yellen played this video so solemnly, and it was definitely not to popularize common sense to everyone. Suddenly, in the magic image, the piece of the red flame star was broken. Violent space fluctuations emerged. From a far angle, the surrounding universe and starry sky seemed to have huge ripples that kept rippling. From the near angle, that is, looking up from the ground of the red flame star, the stars instantly moved closer and farther away. After repeating this several times, the starry sky suddenly cracked open, and a deep blue planet suddenly appeared, hanging above the atmosphere of the red flame star. The atmospheres of the two planets rubbed violently, and the gravity interfered with each other, which should have produced a geographical phenomenon like a doomsday disaster. But under the fusion of psychic particles, this scene was surprisingly harmonious. The two planets were facing each other from a distance, as if each had an extra satellite. Other things such as continental plates, ocean tides, and even sunlight were not affected. After the synchronous orbit, the deep blue planet suddenly flew out countless small black dots and rushed to the red flame star. Looking closer, those small black dots turned out to be huge sea beasts as big as islands. Giant whales, giant sharks, giant swordfish, and many other strange and unnamed sea beasts, wrapped in a layer of liquid protective layer like soap bubbles, flew into the atmosphere of the red flame star. Hundreds of meters above the ground, these sea beasts cruised with an elegant posture. From the liquid protective layer, awakened ones swarmed like flies and rushed towards the land of red flame star. Chapter 596, World Destruction Crisis. The magic image zoomed in. Each of these people who had fought their way out of the liquid protective layer of the sea monster had fish characteristics. Some had bulging eyes, some had scales and gills on their faces, and some had shrunken fins on their jaws. This is the sea tribe of Stillen. The heads of the families present all recognized this tribe. They had heard of the sea tribe in the spiritual world war, and some had even dealt with the sea tribe in person. The psychic particle strength of the red flame star is as high as 1.8, and at least 40% of the people are awakened, which is much stronger than the overall strength of our Earth. It's not that easy for Stillen to conquer the red flame star, right? Some family heads said as a matter of course. Yellen shook his head silently. In the picture, the red flame star, which was attacked by surprise, soon sounded a global alarm. The civilians among the Yazd people quickly hid, and a large number of awakened people went to fight. However, the strength of the sea tribe strongmen was suffocating. The water magic, fighting spirit, and other energy attacks they launched with their gestures were so powerful that the Yazd awakeners were killed at the first sight and retreated one after another. From the wide angle lens, the blue representing the strong men of the sea clan expanded rapidly, while the red representing the awakened men of the red race of Yazd continued to shrink. The groups of sea monsters cruising in the air were not just the role of troop transports. Their cruising trajectories seemed to conform to some kind of natural law, and the sky of the red flame star was quickly covered with dark clouds. Large drops of rain fell, quickly turning into a terrible rainstorm that swept the world. The red flame star, which had been dry for a long time, welcomed a large-scale rain for the first time in a long time, but this rain was getting bigger and bigger, as if it was a precursor to the destruction of the world by God in myths and legends, which made people deeply afraid. The red ground began to accumulate water. The sea level of the originally very small ocean on the red flame star rose rapidly and began to submerge the land. The picture went black and ended here. Why is it gone? Someone asked in amazement. This is a picture of observation observed by a consciousness projection of the great god Sero. Yellen said, God Sero sensed the malice of the terrifying existence hidden deep in the sea of Stillen Star, so he was forced to end the observation. Let me remind you again, the time recorded by this magic projection was half a month ago. Now, the red flame star should have been completely conquered by the sea people. The fat white man Ike said, a similar space fluctuation also occurred on the Earth today. Oh my God, could it be that alien travelers are going to invade the Earth? I can say responsibly that yes. Yellen nodded heavily. Moreover, the alien travelers who tried to invade the Earth are the sea people we just saw. These sea people have too big an appetite. It's not enough to annex the red flame star, they are even coveting the Earth. Aren't they afraid of being stuffed to death? Everyone cursed at once, but they still had to get back to the topic. The space disturbance that occurred at noon today was the sea tribe's attempt to locate the Earth. Thank God, their spatial positioning was not accurate. Next, they will readjust the coordinates and try to locate the Earth again. Once the positioning is successful, they will cross thousands of light years of space in a very short time and land outside the Earth's atmosphere. Yellen said, this is the reason why I asked you to come here, to discuss how to survive this world-destroying crisis. Can the power of the awakened people on Earth be combined to defeat the sea tribe on Stillen? Someone asked. Impossible. The Yazd people on the red flame star are much stronger than our overall strength, but they still collapsed in front of the sea tribe on Stillen star. According to the oracle of the great Sero god, Stillen star is close to a second-level psychic planet, and there are many masters at the level of evolvers stranded on Stillen star. With the power of the Earth, it is absolutely impossible to compete with them head-on. Yellen said. What is the purpose of the Sea Clan's expedition? Ak asked. As far as I know, this kind of portal that spans the universe and the stars requires a very high price to activate. It contains many rare materials and energy sources, which are quite rare even in the Milky Way world. There must be a special purpose for launching an expedition of this scale just for a first-level psychic planet. If we can figure out the purpose of the Sea Clan, perhaps we can negotiate with them. It's not impossible to surrender temporarily. Our United States-Canada Federation can act as the Sea Clan's agent and help them manage the Earth. Everyone discussed it. Yi Mang shook his head and said, "I'm sorry, I don't know the purpose of the Sea Clan's expedition. Maybe Envoy Sero knows it, but my elder status in the Lord of Light camp is not high enough, so I can't get any further information. The purpose of the family elders communicating with me temporarily is to let me prepare early and preserve the fire of the family's survival. The invasion of the Sea Clan may not be friendly. They belong to the Demon Clan camp, which is completely different from us humans. The ecological environment they need is very different." Someone said, "It is estimated that the first thing the Sea Clan will do when they come to the Earth is to launch a flood and turn the Earth into a second Stillen star, completely wrapped in sea water. Even if someone wants to surrender, the Sea Clan may not accept it. I am a Bronze Brigadier General and have the authority to build a psychic battleship." Ak stood up and said in a deep voice, "I can lead a group of people to jump to the Milky Way world. I am also a Bronze Brigadier General. I am already a Bronze Colonel. If I work harder, I hope to be promoted to Brigadier General. The Bronze Brigadier General's flagship only has hundreds of seats, right? Even if it is packed with people, it is estimated that only 1 or 2,000 can be brought. There are 7 billion people on the entire Earth." Someone said pessimistically. "In the face of the crisis of world destruction, it is a blessing to be able to preserve a little bit of the fire of Earth civilization. This is our Noah's Ark." Ik said lightly. "It would be great if there was a Silver Brigadier General. The Silver Brigadier General's psychic warship can even carry the population of a medium-sized city." Someone said, "I wonder what kind of authority the legendary gold-level official generals will have, and what their flagship will be like." Someone was fantasizing. Hearing everyone's discussion, Ik said impatiently, "Okay, don't think about those fictitious things anymore. Gold-level generals? What a joke. The crisis is in front of us, and we must prepare as soon as possible. Building a Bronze Brigadier General's flagship requires a large amount of rare psychic materials. I will prepare them as soon as possible. Anyone who wants to board our Wiggins family's Ark must show your sincerity. I have a suggestion." Yellen sighed. In order to successfully collect materials for building the flagship, the crisis of the Sea Tribe's invasion must never be publicized. There are also bronze-level brigadiers in other countries, and they will definitely compete with us for shipbuilding materials. Chapter 597. Let me really feel the difference. Jianmen Bay City, the junction of Giant Fern Mountain. This junction is also the battlefield of this year's college championship. As the host school of this college championship, Zili University is required to provide a competition venue. However, Zili University's foundation is too weak after all, and there is no suitable intermediate junction. Even the daily training of the school team is rented by Bai Pu in the training field of Giant Fern Mountain. This time, Zili University rented the Giant Fern Mountain venue from Bai Pu as the competition venue. There are advantages to playing at home. The players of Zili University are most adapted to the strength of the psychic particles in the Giant Fern Mountain. This is also one of the reasons why Amaterasu, Mashin Jushi and others performed well in the previous rounds of the competition. There is also a special thing about this championship. 3 high-level awakeners appeared. Under normal circumstances, high-level awakeners cannot enter the intermediate junction, but Bai Pu is the first-generation owner of the junction, and he can enter and exit the Giant Fern Mountain freely. With the permission of Bai Pu, the first-generation owner, the 2 high-level awakeners, Blood Spider and Skywalker, also have temporary entry rights. Only the first-generation master of the junction has such great authority. If the junction is passed down, the second-generation master will not be able to do this. This is also the reason why the official venue is set as the Giant Fern Mountain Plain. The first-generation masters of other junctions are almost gone. Only the newly appeared junction of the Giant Fern Mountain Plain has Bai Pu, the first-generation master, to give special care. At the same time, Bai Pu must also give up his advantages in the Giant Fern Mountain Plain junction under the notarization of the spirit world, such as the additional professional energy recovery speed, and the greatly reduced skill cooldown, etc. The top of the Giant Fern Mountain. Today is the final of the college competition, and it is still Zhejiang University against Zili University of Technology, replicating last year's schedule. However, Feng Hao and others from Zhejiang University have graduated, and now it is the new army led by Xianxing Zhuanzhong, challenging the defending champion of Zili University as a challenger. The first 4 singles matches were tied 2-2. Xiai and Zhu won 1 game each, while Ma Shenjushi and Xian Cao lost. There was no need to fight again in the 5th match, so they went straight to the team battle. As if they had agreed in advance, the 4 players of Zhejiang University pushed Captain Wang Zhen to the front, and in the preparation stage before the final whistle sounded, they shouted to Bai Pu. Wang Zhen looked at Bai Pu with a complicated look in his eyes. He found that he had to think about it for a long time just to address him. Captain Steelheart. Wang Zhen finally decided to address him as an equal. He said loudly, "I have watched the live broadcast of your participation in the Xianren qualification tournament. To be honest, I am definitely not your opponent with your current strength. However, I still hope that you can give me a chance to let me measure how big the gap in strength is between me and the peak powerhouse. I have made an appointment with my teammates that they will not take action, giving me a space to fight alone. I wonder if Captain Steelheart is willing to give me some advice." Amaterasu covered her lips with a small paper fan and smiled sweetly. "Captain Skywalker, if you lose, you will be teleported out of the battlefield. Zhejiang University will have no hope with 4 against 5. There's no hope of winning the team battle." Wang Zhen was quite frank. "I hope Captain Gangson can give me a chance and show the strength to defeat the candidate Lord Jiu Iao, so that I can truly fill the gap." "Okay." Bai Pu didn't waste any more words. He rushed over a distance of dozens of meters and stabbed out with a gun. The Doomsday Blade pistol was wrapped with Bai Pu's prismatic demonic Dao Qi, and turned into a huge Dao Qi arrow. Wang Zhen's figure flashed, activated a Pegasus soul power, and a pair of materialized wings behind him extended and flew high into the sky. If Bai Pu used the magic sands for long-range attacks, he could easily knock Wang Zhen down with his mental strength and energy intensity. However, Bai Pu didn't want to reveal too many cards for this game. He spun his figure slightly, and the Doomsday Blade pistol in his hand was thrown out like a javelin. Spinning throw, go for broke. Boom. A sonic boom sounded, and the pistol that had been accelerated by the power accumulation was comparable to the speed of sound. It shot over at a speed that was difficult to distinguish with the naked eye and hit Wang Zhen directly. Wang Zhen's eyes shrank. He wanted to dodge, but his vision was almost filled with the tip of the pistol. He felt that no matter where he hid, it would be too late. In desperation, Wang Zhen could only resist with all his strength. The wings of the Pegasus behind him closed, and he activated a Wings of Shelter skill that he had just learned in the professional plane. Wings of Shelter. Use the physical wings formed by the Pegasus soul power to embrace yourself and resist the actual damage of the next attack. If the actual damage does not exceed 700 points, it will be completely blocked. For the part exceeding 700 points, it will be resisted according to the decreasing damage reduction ratio. The higher the single damage, the smaller the damage reduction ratio. Swish. The Doomsday Blade pistol penetrated the Wings of Shelter, dimming the light of Wang Zhen's wings, and the energy feathers fell one after another. Wang Zhen's body was directly penetrated by the residual power of the pistol, and he fell diagonally like a wild goose shot by an arrow. Bai Pu had already calculated it well. He opened his palm the moment the pistol was fired, launched a lasso attack, predicted the landing point of Wang Zhen's body in advance, and dragged him over without suspense. At the same time, Bai Pu took out a cane with his left hand. The shotgun has been used, not counting the simultaneous equipment of 2 king-level purple weapon accessories, so the equipment requirements have not risen to the level of the complete version. The cane was swung 3 times in a row, and finally hit the ground, turning into a powerful Eye of the Storm, sucking Wang Zhen's body. Wang Zhen tried to break away, but was restricted by Bai Pu's prismatic field. After seeing the prompt message, your Fiant sprint priority is not more than 9 points, and it cannot be performed in the prismatic field, Wang Zhen could only smile bitterly and shook his head, admitting defeat on the spot. As Wang Zhen turned into light and left, the remaining 4 people from Zhejiang University launched a disparate charge against Bai Pu. Bai Pu's teammates were naturally not to be outdone, and they also rushed forward and cooperated with Bai Pu to eliminate the other 4 people, ending the game. This team battle was probably the fastest game in this year's college championship. The climax came to an abrupt end before the commentary warm-up was over. In desperation, the commentator could only announce that Zili University of Technology successfully defended the title. The focus was on the post-match interview. Out of courtesy of the host, Bai Pu still appeared on the stage. However, Bai Pu had informed the host in advance that he would only answer one question. The question the host asked was also the question that countless college students wanted to know the most. We all know that Captain Steelheart is only a sophomore, and he will still be eligible to participate in the college championship next year or the year after. Captain Steelheart, will you participate in the college championship next year? For a master like you who has reached the peak of awakening, is this kind of competition no longer challenging enough? Chapter 598, Equivalent Exchange, Repaying Gratitude. Bai Pu glanced at the host, knowing that she might have asked this question at the behest of the organizer. As the organizer, of course, they don't want to watch such a game without suspense. Bai Pu's presence is like a college student diving into the kindergarten group. This year's college championship is obviously not as popular as in previous years. Most of the reasons are that Bai Pu is too strong, and he has a powerful teammate like Blood Spider. The organizer probably doesn't want Bai Pu to continue to participate. First of all, I'm still a long way from the peak. I think I still have a lot of room for improvement. Bai Pu smiled and threw out a sentence to tease the organizer's nerves, and then said, but I probably won't participate in the college championship in the future. I will apply for early graduation, and will focus on exploring the spirit world in the future, and at the same time try to hit some peak titles. The host got the answer he wanted and breathed a sigh of relief. Out of her journalistic instinct, she wanted to ask Bai Pu about the peak title battle, but when she saw Bai Pu's calm eyes, her heart skipped a beat and she decided to put the topic aside. Okay, I wish Steelheart to get the peak title as soon as possible and reach the peak of the Awakener. Thank you. There was no other way. They had agreed to answer only one question in advance. Bai Pu is now a new big shot on the Jiangnan region. Judging from this momentum, it may only take a few years for him to become a big shot in the central region. Of course, this host from Zhejiang didn't want to give Bai Pu a bad impression just for his curiosity. After the game, Wan Zhen found Bai Pu. You seem to have changed your main weapon recently. Yes. Can you tell me what level of equipment it is? Wan Zhen asked. Bai Pu thought about it, shook his head and said, sorry, let's talk about it after the Heavenly Man title battle. Wan Zhen seemed to have thought of something, nodded and said, I'm sorry. The Zai Polytechnic team returned with honors, but the school was also half happy and half worried. Happy for this year, worried for next year. Bai Pu has announced that he will graduate early and will not participate in the college competition next year. With Bai Pu's current status, the school did not dare to try to change his mind. Originally, the school thought that they could try to keep Zuzu. The strength shown by Zuzu this year can be said to be second to none. If Bai Pu leaves, Zuzu will be the first person in the college in the eyes of everyone. However, Zuzu also refused to continue to participate in the competition. She wants to graduate with Bai Pu. Next year's lineup can only be built around Shi Yi. Fortunately, Shi Yi is only level 5, far from the threshold of advanced awakeners, and the school is not worried about Shi Yi leaving the team early. With the influence and resource tilt brought by the two champions, next year's Ziliguang will also have hero professions of level 5 and 6. It may not have an overwhelming advantage this year, but at least it is also a favorite to win the championship. The fate of Bai Pu and Ziliguang ends here. The alma mater that really makes Bai Pu recognize is actually Zichen No. 17 Middle School, the small broken high school that took him in when he was in trouble. Although he only studied for more than 10 days, Bai Pu still remembers this feeling of taking him in. Today, Zichen No. 17 Middle School has also changed its appearance. First of all, the educational resources of Jiangnan District are tilted, and then there are Li Ling, Bai Pu and Shi Yi, as well as donations from all walks of life. The Education Department of Jiangnan District once consulted the old principal of Zichen No. 17 Middle School, whether to move to the urban area with better students. However, the old principal insisted not to move and remained in the suburbs. He used education grants and donations to renovate and rebuild all the school buildings. With more generous treatment, he attracted many semi-retired awakeners to join the school and serve as instructors of the combat class, and also increased the canteen subsidy. Today, Zichen No. 17 Middle School has modern teaching buildings and training equipment, professional combat teachers, and mutant beast meat supplied to students at low prices. The original pursuit of progress, diligence and down-to-earth style of study has also been preserved under the personal efforts of the old principal. This originally dilapidated suburban high school has become a paradise comparable to the famous schools in Jiangnan. Many students from the urban area of Zhejiang have tried every means to come here to study. As for the Shenset army, they discovered the super genius Bai Pu and were recognized by the military leaders. The genius camp plan can continue to be implemented. Bai Pu was born in the Shenset army and is now a standing counselor of the Jiangnan district. He is in charge of the official border of the Jiangnan district and can provide convenience to the Shenset army in many ways. Bai Pu did not need to order and arrange this. He chose Li Ling as his practical officer. Li Ling, who also came from the Shenset army, made very thoughtful arrangements. Bai Pu used to grow up with the resources of the Shenset army. Today, Bai Pu has become a resource and can naturally give back. This is also the greatest achievement of the Shenset army genius camp plan. The top leaders of the Shenset army called it a treasure. In comparison, the top leaders of the balanced school were very sad. When Bai Pu first became an awakener, he took the initiative to find Mr. Bratton of the Byron's Chamber of Commerce, an external organization of the balanced school, and wanted to join the balanced school and seek shelter. Bratton wanted to control Bai Pu, but he didn't agree at first, but Li Ling took advantage of the opportunity and kidnapped Bai Pu. If Bai Pu was an unknown person, it would be fine, but now Bai Pu has risen all the way. In just 2 years, he has grown to the level of a peak awakener and is about to participate in the peak title battle in China. The School of Balance, the rival of the school to which Bratton belongs, quickly seized this point to put pressure on Bratton. Bratton's position in the Byron's Chamber of Commerce is quite good, equivalent to the general manager of the Huangsha region. But the Byron's Chamber of Commerce is only a peripheral organization of the School of Balance. The real core is the school itself, those powerful awakener masters. After a round of accountability, Bratton's backers could not withstand the pressure and simply sacrificed Bratton as an agent and replaced him. Bratton was in a hurry and downtrodden. Whenever he thought of the day he met Bai Pu 2 years ago, his heart was filled with regret. If I had not thought about maximizing benefits and trying to force Bai Pu to sign additional terms, but enthusiastically introduced him to join the School of Balance, now the class transition enjoyed by the Chinese female officer would belong to me. Bai Pu's rise has brought great influence on the people and things around him. Bai Pu himself doesn't care about these influences. He adheres to a principle, that is, equal exchange and retribution. Let those who care about you and love you live a better life. Time flies and it's December 16th. The final of the Celestial Title Battle officially kicked off. Bai Pu's special prop, Certificate of Qualification for the Celestial Title Battle, is burning hot, and Gaia's will prompts. The Celestial Title Battle is about to begin. You are qualified to participate. Please teleport to the spirit world within 30 minutes. Right square bracket. Chapter 599 Catastrophic Abyss. Gaixin has been teleported to the spirit world. The competition is about to begin. Look at the live broadcast. The spirit world camera is giving close-ups of these contestants. Oh, no matter how many times I watch Xiao Bai Pu, he is still so handsome in Zhejiang. The Shenset Army branch, the Tactical Research Room's big screen is broadcasting the Celestial Title Battle. Li Ling, Su Xiaoxio, and a group of members of the Shenset Army's Genius Camp are watching the live broadcast. The same scene is also happening in the Jiangnan branch of the Special Service Bureau, the school team training room of Zhejiang Polytechnic University, and the Wu family in the East China Sea region. Special Service Bureau teammates such as Yuan Tang and Yuan Yu, school teammates such as Shi Yin and Yuan Zhao, and even Blood Spider and Wuxian Goddess are all paying attention to this battle. The Celestial Title, as one of the 5 top titles in China, is managed by the Spirit World Will, and the Chinese government is the organizer, and the two cooperate. The Spirit World Will arranges the schedule, matches the list, and even opens a special finals venue in the Spirit World. At the same time, the Spirit World Will also acts as a director, transmitting the performance of each player to the official Chinese live broadcast channel through the Spirit Particle signal. At this moment, the official live broadcast of China showed the scene of Bai Pu and the other 5 finalists entering the world of the competition for the first time. The big screen also gave information about the competition venue. Venue, Meteoric Islands, Catastrophic Abyss, Intensity. 5.3, Introduction, the ominous meteorite fell, and the former island turned into an abyss, bringing natural disasters or changes. The environment here is so strange. The outer seawater seems to be blocked by an invisible force field, directly exposing the seabed. Hush, let's start introducing the contestants' information. Sister Ling, quickly take the information and see if it's correct. The camera turned from Bai Pu to a thin figure carrying a large bow, with his clothes fluttering in the wind, and gave him a close-up of his face. Gufan, the last candidate for the Heavenly Man, is good at long-range output and has the top-grade dark gold weapon Thunder Bow. Li Ling had collected information in advance and knew all about it. Gufan has not been idle in the past few years. He has cast various powerful enchanted arrows in the spirit world. Good guy, long-range output must have taken a big advantage in the Heavenly Man War. Suzuya Oxio said as a matter of course. That's not necessarily the case. The combat power amplitude of long-range output is generally low, because the shooting expertise improves the shooting accuracy, unlike the close combat expertise, which will increase the damage. Instructor Chu analyzed, if Gufan can keep his distance and prevent others from getting close, there's hope, but the others are also top awakeners with various powerful control and breakthrough methods. The scene turned, and another thin figure with a wine pot on his back appeared. This should be the permanent member of the Central Committee Drunken Flower Forest boss, whose characteristics are elegant and unpredictable. Li Ling said. Li Ling certainly had more detailed information in his mind. For example, Zhu Hulin was good at the ultimate secret dancing wind, and he also created the dancing wind return secret system, which was even more powerful than Jiu Ayao. The fourth character that appeared on the screen was wrapped in a robe filled with black mist, with his face hidden, looking eerie and strange. This person, codenamed Wild Ghost, like Steel Heart, is a new challenger in this Shinrin battle, and he got the qualification by defeating a candidate and 2 challengers. From the 3 known battles, it is not clear what kind of fighting style he is really good at, and it can only be described as weird. Li Ling was a little worried. This Wild Ghost player, like the previous Shinrin Qingqiang, is a big enemy that Bai Pu needs to guard against. Finally, the Lord of Xianfu, Qingqiang, appeared on the screen. Qingqiang, the last celestial being, is said to have the trick of combining man and weapon, and is good at breaking armor and shields, with super strength. Recently, at the peak auction, Qingqiang also spent a huge amount of money to grab the golden relic Phoenix Wing-gilded halberd, and his strength has reached a new level. Li Ling sighed. She had great confidence in Bai Pu, but as powerful players appeared one after another, her confidence was also shaken a little. Starfall Islands, Catastrophic Abyss. I didn't expect that the venue for the Celestial Being Finals would be here. Bai Pu stood on a flying disc condensed by magic sands and looked around. Starfall Islands is a high-level area attached to the world of flesh plague, distortion, the origin of everything. From a legal point of view, this is still part of Bai Pu's Scania territory. Under Bai Pu's business strategy, the natives entered the Starfall Islands one after another, trying to obtain the alchemical materials here to pay taxes. A high-level alchemical herb is even worth 500 crowns of silver coins in taxes. The will of the spirit world sees through everything. It is impossible for it not to know that this is my territory. Arranging the finals of the battle between heaven and man in the Falling Star Islands, aren't you afraid of unfairness? Bai Pu narrowed his eyes and thought for a while. The finals venue is limited to the Cataclysm Abyss. None of us 5 contestants can leave the scope of the Cataclysm Abyss. Although the natives are exploring the Falling Star Islands, the Cataclysm Abyss, as the core area, is extremely dangerous. There are large groups of sea beasts in the surrounding sea walls, and there are flying dragons in the sky. It is almost a forbidden area for the natives. It is unrealistic to want to rely on the power of the natives. Plus, I have never set foot in the advanced area of the Falling Star Islands, and the geographical advantage does not exist. This place is called the Catastrophic Abyss. It should have been a vast ocean, but an invisible force field forcibly squeezed away hundreds of square kilometers of seawater around it, forming a long wall of waves. The waterless land surrounded in the middle is like a funnel, wide at the top and narrow at the bottom, with a very small and thin bottom, like the eye of the abyss. Such a great power is far beyond the reach of the awakened. Lines of spiritual world will prompt information appeared in Bai Pu's field of vision. You have participated in the peak title battle, and the current title is Heavenly Man. The holder of the title of Heavenly Man will gain at least 1 free attribute, temporary, for each powerful enemy killed, which can be infinitely superimposed. The identification of a powerful enemy is based on the comprehensive combat power value of the holder of the title of Heavenly Man. The holder of the title of Heavenly Man will obtain the ultimate skill Heavenly Man arrives. The rules of the Heavenly Man title battle are as follows. 1. You may not leave the final venue, catastrophic abyss. 2. Those who win all the heavenly marks will obtain the title of Heavenly Man. Bai Pu read these lines of information and couldn't help but take a breath. The title of Heavenly Man is worthy of being the peak title, so powerful. The passive effect alone, killing a powerful enemy to obtain at least one free attribute, is already very abnormal. There is also an ultimate skill Heavenly Man arrives. I don't know how powerful it will be. Come on. I'm determined to get this title of Heavenly Man. Chapter 600, Sandbinder. The question now is, what is the trace of the sky? Bai Pu looked around. The surroundings of the abyss of catastrophe were covered with vast fog. He could only vaguely see the high wall formed by the seawater in the distance. This layer of fog was very sticky. When his mental power was extended, it encountered great resistance and could only extend about 10 meters, not as far as the range of observation by the eyes. In the fog, black shadows occasionally swam by, and their huge bodies were shocking. Could these black shadows be the powerful sea beasts of the Fallen Star Islands, or the distorted dragons? Bai Pu identified a black shadow, and rushed over through the air with a series of steps. Soon, Bai Pu approached the black shadow and saw its body through the thin fog. This is a distorted monster that looks like a catfish, but has a pair of transparent film-like long wings. It is about 20 meters long, with a huge head like a heavy truck, and a slender and forked tail, which flashes with crackling arcs of light. The most important thing is that on the top of the catfish monster's head, a bright mysterious mark of text is flashing. Could this mysterious text be the Heaven's Mark? Bai Pu felt a sense of absurdity in his heart. The mysterious text looks simple and concise, but with Bai Pu's memory, he had no impression of it after he missed it. Bai Pu had encountered this kind of text before. It was clearly the rune mentioned by the god's messenger and the divine text mentioned by Gaia's will. And judging from the light, the divine text was the same as the divine text produced by the lost city of the original Sin world, and it contained energy. Gaia's will was lazy and renamed the divine text as the Heaven's Mark. In this case, letting the contestants compete for the complete Heaven's Mark is just to collect a line of divine text. Bai Pu further thought that the divine text here should be scattered on the monsters in the Cataclysm Abyss. In the lost city of the original Sin world, to obtain the divine text, one must defeat the monster born from the energy of creation. So how to obtain the divine text of the Cataclysm Abyss? The answer is already coming out. The winged catfish attacked Bai Pu the moment it saw him. Its huge body spun like a spinning top and charged at him. However, Bai Pu was unable to dodge the collision. The rapidly spinning body seemed to coincide with some mysterious trajectory between heaven and earth. The surrounding mist squeezed over. The mist, which was originally only slightly sticky, now squeezed Bai Pu firmly in the center like a pile of cotton. Boom! The winged catfish crashed into Bai Pu's dark gold tower shield. You received 94 points of recoil damage. Just when Bai Pu felt indifferent, a thick electric current suddenly penetrated the shield's protection and electrocuted Bai Pu. Bai Pu was paralyzed all over in an instant, and even the operation of his magic fighting spirit was stagnant for a moment, and his body fell rapidly. Fortunately, Bai Pu's magic sand was refined in advance. With a little magic manipulation by mental power, the magic sand turned into an invisible big hand and supported Bai Pu's body. Your skill, Demon Sand, has been upgraded to level 6, based on your title, Limit Breaker. The level of Demon Sand is level 7. You can draw the level 7 skill special effects in advance. Bai Pu's mind was racing, and he was distracted. While dodging the chain attacks of the winged catfish, he quickly glanced at the special effects. A. Gift of Plenty, increases the storage limit of your Demon Sand by 50%. B. Tidal Sand, Tidal Secret Special Effect, the power of Demon Sand changes periodically, with the crest power increased by 50% and the trough power reduced by 50%. C. Sandbinder, Gene Fusion Talent Special Effect, Demon Sand turns into a sand-binding shell, binding the residual souls and the gene fragments of the dead strong to fight for you. D. Scorching Sand, Red Flame Secret Special Effect, when Demon Sand is used for attack, it will be accompanied by a red flame burning effect, causing continuous fire damage to the enemy. E. Sand Seal, use the magic sand to imprison an enemy and put it into a long-term, suspended animation state. The target must be far inferior to you in strength, or be in a state of severe injury and unable to resist. F. Desert Storm, Gangfang's secret effect urges the magic sand to form a large-scale sandstorm. Enemies within the coverage area will suffer continuous wind and earth mix attribute magic damage, and enemies against the wind will be severely slowed down. Bai Pu has practiced 4 secrets, and the benefits are obvious. When a skill is practiced to a critical level, a large number of secret effects will appear at once for Bai Pu to choose. Item A. The increase in the upper limit of the gift of abundance is excluded. I can only mobilize 10 portions of magic sand at a time. Level 7 magic sand originally has an upper limit of 100 portions, which is enough in most cases. Item B. Surging sand. The unstable power is excluded. Item D. The scorching sand is not very effective. Item E. The sand seal has too many restrictions. And item F. The desert storm function overlaps, all of which are excluded. Bai Pu finally chose option C, Sand Binder. To be honest, choosing to enhance special effects is a bit of a gamble, because when choosing special effects, you can only see a general description, and many specific data information can only be seen after the selection. Bai Pu chose Sand Binder mainly because of the Gene Fusion talent special effect. It can be linked with one of the talent skills of the Heart of Evolution, so it can't be too bad. Bai Pu browsed the special effects and selected the special effects in the blink of an eye. The winged catfish's attack had just been carried out for 2 rounds, and Bai Pu easily dodged them by stepping on the gang step. Bai Pu intended to try the new special effect. With a thud, 10 portions of magic sand rushed out, and at the same time, a gene fragment stored in Bai Pu's talent was activated, and a remnant soul of a strong man merged into it. The magic sand deformed with the remnant soul of the strong man, and finally turned into a thin and elongated body. The facial features were a little blurred, and the shadow of the bound person could be roughly seen. Bai Pu frowned slightly. He could see the attributes of this sand binder at a glance. The highest spirit was only over 100 points, and the other attributes were not outstanding. In terms of attributes, the sand binder was equivalent to the level of a level 7 warrior. Compared with the body of the bound, the gap was immeasurable. The only bright spot was that the sandbinder could use some of the proud skills of the residual soul of the strong. For example, the sandbinder made of the residual soul of the bound could use the ability of Black Repel to control the range. However, the professional energy intensity of the sandbinder was far inferior to that of the bound. It was estimated that the priority of Black Repel was the warrior level, which could not be as terrible as the body. In terms of resistance to attack, the sandbinder was not afraid of attack, because it was not a flesh and blood body, and there was no vital point. Even if the outer shell of the sandbinder was broken, Bai Pu could replace it with new magic sand and restore it. However, I have thought of some new tactics that can be tested with this big catfish. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.